Welcome to day 2 of DudaCon. Really excited to have you guys join us today for our 4th session of the event for Duda's event focused on giving agencies and web professionals, content to help them scale and grow their business. Today, we have a session with some actual small businesses who have agreed to join us and kind of have a discussion on how things are going in the economy, how they're perceiving the business. We're also joined by Nat and Evan, who work with these guys and are kind of the agency responsible for them. I'm joined today also by Alan Keller here at Duda, who's our Chief Enterprise Sales Officer and works a lot with clients around the world. Alan, you want to quickly introduce yourself, and then we'll hand it over to the team?
Yeah, happy to. Hey, Russ. Great to be here. Welcome, everyone, to DudaCon. As Russ said, my name's Alan. I run enterprise sales and commercial strategy here for the company. Really excited to talk to this amazing roster of agency partners and SMBs that we have today. And what we're going to be talking about is what's going on out there. How are small businesses reacting to the economic climate, the multi-economy, if you will? How are agencies retooling their solutions to provide for what consumers are looking for these days? And I'm excited to chop it up, Russ.
Great. So Paul, why don't we start with you? I think it would be great to give the audience just a little background on what you do day to day, what your business does, a little bit about kind of what you work on and what you do.
Hi everyone, my name is Paul Miller. I'm the Director of Marketing for USM Re-Rents and USM Falcon Lifts. Our business is we rent to rental companies large, heavy construction equipment. When you see a boom that's putting up a new stadium, it's up 185 feet, that's our equipment. It's a very unique market, and it's can be very challenging during a COVID type times, but it's again a very fun, unique business of getting equipment out there that a lot of people just can't afford, but we help rental companies open up new markets with it.
Amazing, Paul. And is that a national business or is it regional?
We are all over Canada and the United States.
Okay, wow, fantastic. And how long have you been there?
Well, I've been with the company for 5 years. It's been in business for 40.
Okay, fantastic. Great. And Jason, how about yourself?
Yeah, so I am one of the co-founders of Count Juncula Junk Removal in Raleigh, North Carolina. We're the world's only Dracula-themed junk removal company. We do residential full-service junk removal and also work for a lot of commercial clients as well, multifamily and property developers and flippers. We started in 2019.
We have to ask, you got to tell us the story behind the name.
Yeah, so my business partner Chad and I were on the way back from a surf trip at the beach, and we had wanted to start a junk removal business for years, and we were kind of kicking names back and forth. And one of us said Junk Dracula, and the other one just said Count Juncula, and we laughed about it for, I'd say, a solid month before we finally got the guts to go with the name, because we thought it was so ridiculous. We didn't know if we could do it, but once we saw the logo, it all kind of came together, and people have really loved it. So we've incorporated the Dracula stuff into into everything we do, really. We even have a Dracula call recording when you call in, a Dracula voice.
It's amazing. And I guess not a lot of competition for that domain name, which is also a bonus.
Yeah, we invented a new word, so pretty much wide open.
Great. How about our agency partners, Russ?
Yeah, absolutely. Evan, I know you work very closely with Jason at Count Juncula. I think it might be interesting just to give a little background on how you guys help them out, and then obviously also maybe just a little background quickly on DevelopMark as well.
Awesome. Yeah, thanks, Russ. So DevelopMark is a smaller agency. We're under 15 people, and we've been on DudaCon and a couple other programs at John's before. So if you've seen us before, here we are again. And we made Jason's website and took him on as a client probably around 2 years ago, maybe a little bit sooner than that. And we had a great time building his website. I was actually the designer. It's mainly what I do is I'm in Duda all day. So I'm mainly a web designer, and we had a great time building his site because it's not often that people have such fun brands. And I also think that it was a good marketing play of just making Count Junculate because it really makes you stand out from other people when people are in the SERP and they're checking different websites to see who they should go with. So I encourage all of our clients and really any small business to do something like that because it's creative and it sets you apart, from the beginning.
Absolutely, that's great. And Nat, do you want to give a quick overview of what you guys do for Paul?
Sure. Owl Street Design was based in Chicago. Paul found us 5 years ago. Got involved in a business that was doing rebranding, restructuring the entire business model. We've done logos for him. We've done flyers. We've done billboards. We've done numerous websites. And I picked Paul for this because he's our neediest client. So we've done the most stuff for him. We talk almost every day. And it was kind of fun taking a business that had been around for a long time. They brought Paul on to rejuvenate and renovate the business. And we've been able to do that together. So we had a blast. But we've done SEO, website design, graphic design, content writing, everything. And it's been great to work with.
That's really cool. And thanks again to all the attendees. Maybe kind of staying on this theme with Nat and Paul for a moment. Nat, you mentioned, we started working together, 4 or 5 years ago. Thinking back, as the rebrand, building a new website, going through this entire process, what were the goals and how do you kind of get started when you find a new client like Paul? How do you think about onboarding? How do you think about designing for goals and intention and building an entire digital program for a business like USM Rents? Talk to us about that process.
Yeah, we took a look at what they had, and it was okay. And they've been a North American based business for a long time, and we had a lot of kickoff meetings with Paul and the design team, and really looking at what they had, where they're going, who they're competing with. And we needed to make sure there were a couple big dogs in the space, and we needed to make sure that content-wise, which was very important, and design-wise, they looked like a 2022, 2023 company instead of 2017. So Paul comes from a marketing background, so he was a lot of fun to work with. And we just kept determining what questions needed to be answered. What do we need to show on the website? Can the website be as easily navigable as possible because they've got a kind of a complex product structure, and just keep going and then stay up to date. We've done SEO programs with him. We've added live chat because I know there's an AI portion of this discussion that was going to happen today. So whatever's going on out there, we wanted to keep him abreast of it, and we do. And we touch base every couple of weeks to make sure that we're keeping him where he needs to be.
That's amazing. Well done. And Paul, to you, thinking, where the digital program was when you inherited the business and joined the company, and where it is today, what percentage of your acquisition and retention does digital represent versus other channels? And not to put Nat on the spot here, but obviously you're very pleased. It's been a long-term relationship with Owl Street Design, but how do you think about moving into the next year, and where do you see your digital program going?
Working with Nat is a very fun adventure. I come to him thinking I've got the greatest ideas in the world, and he tells me how bad they are, and then we do something and it works great. So I have a 30-plus year broadcast background. Actually, I've owned television. My family has owned television stations and groups of stations. I've been through the transition of where you have kind of a website, then you have a website that actually works. And that's what Nat has done for us. And that's what our goal has been. We are a very unique niche business. There's not many people in the world that when they do an acquisition of some equipment, it's $20, $30, $40 million at a time. And to get that word out to our customers, okay, I'll send an email, I'll have a website that's got it, but you have to have specifications. You've got to give examples of how it's worked. You have to have safety training that goes with it. And that was the biggest challenge to what we walked into, was because the company didn't really have any of that. It just said, hey, here's who we are. This is what we do. There was no way for people to put in a request for the equipment online. Couldn't do an inspection report. We never actually see our equipment. It's always in the hands of our customers. They actually even service our equipment. We buy it, we put it out there. If it needs servicing, the client does it. They rent the equipment. We rent to them. There's not many people in the world that do that. There's probably 3, 4 in the United States. We are the largest. We have the largest fleet. Now, a lot of that has happened because there's been a huge consolidation where the big guys like United Rentals or Sunbelt bought a lot of the retail shops of the construction equipment. So how did that set us apart? We have big pictures of equipment. We don't have anything funny on there. We don't have a talking dog that says, oh, rent from us. It's everything. It's very direct, very, very, very clean. Again, being able to download the specifications, being able to download an operating procedure, being able to sign up and do an inspection report. It's really, really, really important to do it. It sounds easy to a lot of people. It's not. And I'll tell you the thing that I've been able to really take advantage of was he put together a great analytical program for us, which is something I really believe in. I can see what people are looking at on our site. Of course, everybody says, oh, everybody can do that. Not the way Nat's got it set up. I can go in and make a decision real quick of what we should put out there, talking with the sales team, talking with ownership. Hey, Paul, we've got this going on. What do you think? What do you think we should be putting out there? Well, people are looking right now at 185-foot articulating booms. And by the way, Amazon's got 4 projects going on at $1 billion plus. So get in those territories, find the rental agencies that are there, and get with them. Compliments to Nat because he's always been very patient and has guided the way to make that happen.
Awesome. Thanks, Paul. Thanks, Nat. Why don't we pivot over to Jason and Evan, and let's hear some similar responses. Jason, obviously, also a highly competitive market and in junk removal with a lot of entrenched players. Besides the amazing brand and amazing logo, how do you think about differentiation and discovery online with your website and with your acquisition programs?
Yeah, well, we definitely realized the brand was not enough, but it was a huge competitive advantage. So you're kind of in the digital landscape, we kind of think of each little element as like a weapon in our arsenal. So, I got with the best pay-per-click provider I'd ever had for our first year in business. And then he eventually referred me to DevelopMark for the website and SEO work. And then we just, kind of built out from there. We kind of hire specialists for different parts of our digital marketing instead of having one company do it all. We've been with some huge firms in the past that did not provide impressive results, and we were with a different company for the first year that we had Count Juncula, and we did not see measurable SEO results. So we've been very happy with the results we have had currently and continue to have, and that's what we look at. Results-based marketing and tracking what we can, but also understanding that it's kind of a cohesive effect. Everything works together, and you can't always just look at one thing in isolation.
Right. Jason, what would you say is... go ahead, Evan. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I'll just expand off that. Jason came on and they had a website. Count Juncula had a website before, but it wasn't, everything that we needed, Jason knew we needed online. So basically we redesigned it in a way that fit the branding, that was super cohesive with the branding, but also prioritizing just ease of use and navigation. And the main thing was SEO, so to get it to rank. So Jason took advantage of most of our services that we offer here. The SEO, content writing, website design, and even we're going so far as to include previous jobs that they do out in the field. Somebody could take a picture of jobs and upload them right onto the website, so people could see previous work that they've done in that past month. So there's a lot of efforts being done on the website and on social too. And so he's taking advantage of most of the services that we offer here, and it seems to be working well. So.
Jason, what I wanted to ask is roughly, what portion of your new leads and new business that come in, is it through digital or through like word of mouth? How are you kind of building and growing your client base on an ongoing basis? What are those channels where they're coming through today?
Yeah, so our main channels are website, Google My Business, Google Ads, and then we still do traditional direct mail to a targeted mailing list. Mm-hmm. So I would say at least 50% of new leads come from the website, but everything's not always trackable. They might call the main line. They might have found us on Yelp or some other website. We try to ask how you heard about us. We have tracking numbers in our CallRail account, so we track everything to the degree that we can. But it's a little bit different not being an e-commerce business. It's a little bit harder to track because a lot more of it is kind of a mix of online and offline, and especially with branding, that can definitely be tough because you could touch the customer in so many different ways, and then they just come in through this one channel, and that's how you record that you got them. So, I do a marketing report at the end of every month based off of my tracking analytics, but I do understand that it's not 100% accurate. It just kind of gives me a good kind of baseline of what's working and how well it's working.
Yeah, attribution is always a really tricky one. We struggle with that too at Duda. So it's not a problem unique to your business, Jason. What have you noticed any trends that have changed over the last couple of years where consumer expectations are moving from channel A to channel B, and also are there any other channels that you'd like to experiment with but just haven't gotten around to it yet? So things that you're thinking about.
I've noticed a big shift from email to SMS on the residential side of our business. I noticed that email is very ignored now, except not on the commercial side. It's crazy. So it's almost the opposite. Commercial responds less to text and more to email, and residential responds more to text and less to email. And, we've kind of managed the SMS marketing ourselves. We may kind of standardize it more in the future with kind of some drip campaigns instead of just emailing it or texting everyone all at once. But we get good responses from the text, and people will reply to a text weeks after you send it, which always blows my mind. But you put an offer in the text and people hang on to it. So it's been a nice kind of low-hanging fruit and good part of our customer retention and reactivation system.
And what percentage of your business are repeat customers versus new customers?
I don't have the numbers on that. I'm kind of a problem-focused person, so if it's not a problem, I don't always know the answer.
Perfect. All good.
So,
good.
Yeah, I'm not sure, but we do most of our commercial accounts are recurring, so I'd say more than 50% of our business is repeat business.
Cool. And swinging it back to Paul and Nat for a sec. Paul, with such a niche focus and a small group of competitors, so clearly, being the gorilla in the industry pays a lot of dividends, right? With a strong brand and national reach, but you still need to acquire customers. You still need to get the word out that you have equipment available. How do you ensure cost efficiency in that marketing? Are you finding specific technologies more helpful, less helpful? And similar question to Jason, have there been any trends that you can pull out for us over the last couple of years and the way that businesses want to engage with you and maybe any channels you're thinking about experimenting for the future?
Well, again, because we rent to rental companies and we don't work with end users, our marketing is a little bit different. Email has been, our website generates tons of inquiries. Our emails probably send out in our email blast by region, letting everyone know what equipment is available in that region. Close to 10,000 emails a week that go out. We have a very good it's a great tool for us. LinkedIn has also been great. Twitter was a failure. Didn't even mess with Instagram or anything like that. Again, LinkedIn reinforces what we have daily. It's a different piece of equipment. This is what we got. Give us a call. We'll help you out with it. And the reason why we know it works, because quite often when you see projects going on, say in South Carolina, I really start hitting on those projects with big booms or spider lifts and that type of thing. And then here come the inquiries. And you can tell they're all bidding on the same project. So it's a very old school way of doing it. But again, with Nat's analytic program, I can really have a handle on what people are looking for. And even though 4 or 5 folks want the same thing, it becomes a real testament to our ownership of constantly buying these very large pieces of equipment, very expensive pieces of equipment, and having it available. Our biggest pushback is logistics, getting equipment from one place to the other. Because of what's going on in the world, diesel fuel is $5-6 a gallon. You're trying to take a 185-foot boom, 300-400 or 1,000 miles to a job site. All of a sudden, when somebody's getting billed $6,000 to get it there, that changes a lot. But because of our ability to find out where those things are and the contacts we have and that regional email blast, folks know, hey, we can get it. It's probably only going to be about a $1,200 transportation fee, and that makes the sale. But again, I'll say it because of our analytical program, because of the reporting that we have, and just seeing the opens on the emails and then the clicks that happen, we know what we need to get out there. Our ownership has made five acquisitions of equipment just based on what people were asking on. The hard part was being able to get that equipment. There are actually the folks like Sunbelt and United. If we're willing to spend 40, they'll spend 41 to 42 million to get the same piece of equipment. So we've had to wait as much as almost 2 years to get some gear. But we've got we've got a great reputation. Our ownership pays cash. We don't borrow any money. So we get gear and we get it out there right away. The most important thing is making sure your equipment is serviced and working. A lot of folks say, hey, we got all this stuff. We got all this great equipment. But when it comes time to that stuff to show up on that lot, it doesn't work, you're going to lose a customer. I think, Nat, we did that number. I think we've got about a 40 to 45% constant same customers re-renting from us. We're opening up new accounts all the time, and I credit the website for that.
Well done. And just thinking more about this, Paul, you're renting to rental companies, and it sounds like, if I heard your intro correctly, you're also paying really close attention to large scale corporate development. So, if the Oakland A's ever get around to building a new stadium, which I hope they do, I'm an A's fan. It's tough to be one these days, but I'm proud. You would be firing off campaigns to all the Bay Area rental companies on large scale equipment. So that's fascinating that you're able to hyper target potential acquisition, over the next, 6 to 24 months, right? Those are large scale projects, take a long time. So 2 questions. One, how do you find and how do you stay abreast of those large scale corporate developments aside from just reading the news like, any one of us can? And 2, how do you hyper target in that way to firing off, those local campaigns to, again, rental companies only in the Bay Area or only in maybe California because it is such a large project? It's really fascinating acquisition strategy.
You always trust the salespeople. They want to make money. And most everybody in our business is paid. They get a small base, but a great commission. So they're hustling all the time. So when I'll ask our sales group, okay, who have you been in touch with? Who's someone I can reach out to? What have they told you of what you've got going on? And I just start a conversation that way. Hey, Keith said that the new stadium for the Oakland A's is happening. Are you guys in on the bidding? And that just opens up the conversation. That's what they want to get into. You don't have to ask them about their last vacation or anything like that. What gear do you have? Hey, we just got an order for 100 60-foot booms. Can you guys take care of that? Well, okay, yes, we can. And you just got to stay in contact with them. The amazing thing of it is it doesn't really ever gets personal. It's like, do you have the equipment? Can you get it here? Can you make it happen? But yes, reading, staying abreast, the news. Hey, here's what's going on. There's a lot of different ways to obtain that information. And I think what made us the survivor in the re-rental business, because we did not sell out to all the other retail shops. Our ownership just totally pushed back on that. Great offers for the company too. But he said, no, this is a good thing. We're going to stay in this. Was that as these projects came back, and by the way, the Raiders Stadium, the SoFi, the three most recent stadiums on the West Coast, our equipment was there and played a very large part in that. So I'm hoping for the Oakland to get your deal done. But those projects, once they start getting bidded out, there is a chain of folks who will say, did you know this is going on? And they'll let their other folks at the other United Rentals or at the other Sunbelt Rentals know that these projects are coming down. That information circles back really, really, really quick.
Awesome. Russ, what question do we have for our agency partners here?
Yeah, like Evan or Nat, I'll prompt this to both of you guys. What trends do you guys see in the way that consumers want to engage with SMBs? What's changing out there in the market, and what's different from 2 years ago? Right, 2 years ago we were in the middle of a pandemic and everyone was at home, and now things are kind of shifting and opening up. I'd love to hear your guys' perspective.
I'll go first. So if Evan says something I was going to, I won't be out of information. It's been interesting since COVID and people working from home, and we're talking about this before this started together. Don't take this wrong, but COVID's been very good for our business, and we've been very proactive getting to our clients to a couple of things. Is people are used to this Zoom thing now, which I have a lot of them, and I get burned out from it, but businesses are finding it's a new way to communicate. So something we've done with several hundred of our clients is add, online consultations available. And it started with doctors, and then it went to lawyers, and then it went to AC repair people. If you send us a video and, we can do it. Is the virtual consultation, it was huge. And we've added that on hundreds of websites. And the other piece of technology that came through is live chat. And we're finding, and we've read the studies, and 22% of people that visit a website only want to do live chat with you. And we have seen out of the 100 clients so far, and all of ours should add it. It's hard to talk them all into it. The leads that come in are very good. It's inexpensive, and you're going to get more business because of it. So I would say the virtual piece and the live chat piece has been great for clients during COVID, and I think we're not seeing it go away. Evan,
Nat,
what do you got? Go ahead, Bruce.
Let me pull on one thread here, Nat. Do you find that these consumers, that you're obviously saying like live chat is successful for a lot of your customers here? Do you think this is like a change in kind of consumer behavior where they want to engage in a way that's a little less invasive to the consumer, where I don't want to pick up a phone as much, I don't want to go in person, I want to be able to get information faster and have less of a commitment that's there, or is there some other kind of attribute you contribute that to?
That's exactly it. It's that mentality of people, and I would say, the younger people, it's everybody. They want immediate gratification. They want something, they want to know they talk to you, and then they can move on to the next thing. And yeah, it's a point where Although we have live chat on our website, out of the live chats we get, 9.5 out of 10, it's a real client that wants to do something, but they don't want to talk to you yet. And so we get the chats, we can respond back to people, and if it sounds good, we follow up with a call. But people are used to this now, and they just, it's a preferred way of talking for a lot of people.
Really interesting that, and sorry, Evan, we'll circle back to you in one sec. This is a thread I also wanted to pull on. Chat is a fascinating one, and when I think about big investments that we've seen over the last 5 years, even longer time period, particularly in the enterprise, you see, AI, artificial intelligence, ML, machine learning, the rise of chatbots for good or for bad or for evil. I just booked a reservation yesterday through the Google Assistant at a restaurant here. It was fascinating. I clicked on the time I want. Google takes care of it. When you think about chat, now, to what extent do you see chatbots and artificial intelligence playing a role for small and medium-sized businesses? Is it possible for a chatbot to become an expert in Paul's business or Jason's business or my business? Or do you see that a human on the other end of your customer actually needs to be involved to engage with that consumer?
No, it's an AI-powered bot that our clients use, and they use it to get an email and a phone number, and then usually a tidbit of information. So when Paul or Jason, if they have chat, respond back, they can respond back with an answer, not knowing anything. So I think in 2 to 3 years, most websites, a lot of websites, are going to have chat. I position it to my clients right now as if you have chat and that 22% is accurate, and that's from Google, you're going to get ahead of your competitors, and do it quickly and do it now before all your competitors catch on. But to really answer that, Alan, all it is it's funneling to somebody, to a Paul and a Jason, quicker, so they can get back to somebody right away. And from what we've seen and the clients we've added it to, as well as ourselves, if you can get back to those people quickly, you're going to close the sale, because they might have chatted with 1 or 2 other of your competitors.
So you see it as kind of an AI assist as opposed to
An assist.
AI.
Absolutely. It doesn't close.
Thing. Yeah, got it.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Really interesting. Yeah, Evan, please chime in here.
Yeah, I just think that's the general theme where everything is going. People are more hesitant to get on the phone, and therefore they'll do more research on the web. So because of that, you have to have a very robust website with a lot of content that they could read. But the website also has to dismiss their objections or their concerns they might have about the service. So unlike the past where people would maybe just get on the phone, they'd find your Google My Business and just get on the phone. I think people are more hesitant to get on the phone now. And so they're either use chat or, even before they use the chat, just look around and do more research on websites. And because people are also less hesitant to get on the phone, you make sure that your website has every possible way for somebody to contact you. People are all comfortable doing their own, everybody's different. Some people might not feel comfortable getting on the phone. So you have to have different mediums that people can contact you through. And also just, give the people the information that they're looking for, because they might not feel comfortable enough to call in to ask, and somebody else's website might be taking care of that and allowing them to contact, not basically be, speaking to anybody in person. So, yeah, I just think we're going to rely more heavily on technology, things like chat. And also you're seeing chat go a step further with video chat. I think Video Ask does a good job where you can have a chat with somebody's, their video, and you can basically choose your adventure or choose your prompt. And I think things like that will do a lot of the selling before they actually end up contacting the business. They'll be so much more further in the sales process due to new technology, and I only think that's going to go further.
I think the Video Ask is really, really incredible. I think Typeform is the company that released that a couple of years ago, and I've seen it implemented a lot of different ways for surveys, for interviews, for basic information gathering. It's really, really fascinating. Good call out, Evan. Jason, Nat had mentioned earlier, like video engagement. I can imagine that would be a really useful tool in your industry where you need to know the size of junk hauler that needs to come out, and square footage, and what kind of material is it, and where to dispose of it. Is video a good solution for you, where you can do a FaceTime or something and actually get a little bit of an insight into the job before you come out there?
So we FaceTime with our employees and our estimators pretty frequently, but typically customers just prefer to text us pictures, and that generally works well enough for us. Allows us to give them kind of a ballpark range of what it could cost, and allows us to know if it's something we can or cannot remove. So we find, there's nothing wrong with video, but we find it kind of unnecessary. But, we've had live chat in the past, and I just made a sticky note to look back into live chat after Nat's recommendation, because, we've always found that people need someone to talk to immediately because there's no loyalty. Like, we've had people call us and say, I used one of the major franchise competitors in the past, but I liked your name. So we know that if we don't answer the phone, they're just going to call the next person on the list 9 times out of 10. So, in the past, we'd had an after hours answering service, and then we had a live chat service. And, it may be time for us to bring some of those things back. One thing that's helped our communication immensely recently is using a program called Go High Level to manage all of our customer communications in one unified dashboard. So we can talk on Google My Business, Facebook Messenger, text message, all through one place, and send and receive pictures to customers and from customers through there. And that's made it way easier because, everybody that manages leads also has the app on their phone. So like I could be at home and get a text from a customer and just reply immediately. And that's really what people have come to expect, is almost instantaneous communication. Like if we miss a call, heaven forbid, we're going to return it in like 1 to 3 minutes. So that's been a big part of our success, is treating these leads like they're about to expire in a second, because it really is like that.
Got it. This is probably a question directed towards Evan, but it came in a few minutes ago in the chat, and asking. I noticed you guys make use of dynamic pages within content for a lot of the service pages of the Junkilo website, but you also have breadcrumbs. Is that a feature that you guys looked into, or how'd you add that? And I think I'm going to tack on one kind of follow on here with that is, how do you guys as DevelopMark think about fleshing out the content, when you're building websites for your clients, right? I think a lot of things we hear is agencies struggle to get the information from a lot of their small businesses of what are those real services, what are those real things that I can put on a website that I can advertise that will fill in context. And I think Paul has highlighted this a lot of, you really need to have detailed information on your website. So how do you go about building that, and how do you go about really engaging and getting that content?
So first, I'll answer the question about the breadcrumbs because we can knock that out pretty quick. So for those that don't know, Duda released their own breadcrumbs, I think a couple days ago. But basically how we were handling that before is our friends at camel.co, they make awesome widgets. And so that was a camel widget, if anybody's wondering. But we like to include breadcrumbs because it's a web convention that people are used to using. So on all of our websites, we want to make it feel familiar, or at least, make the parts of the website that everybody's used to. We want those to be there so that people can not think about how they're using the website. We want them to just use it. So to reduce confusion, basically. But basically how we make our content comprehensive, because like we were saying before, the customer does a lot of shopping beforehand now. And they want to really seriously look at things before they contact. We have a super comprehensive onboarding process and content collection process. So we ask in-depth questions about each of the services. And Jason knows a lot about this, but we want to include pricing. We want to know how the service is done, because these are all things that the customer is going to look for, and they need those objections in their head to be dismissed before they feel comfortable enough to fill out the form or the chat or text or basically contact the business. So Yeah, the answer is just a super comprehensive onboarding process, content collection process, and specifically for those dynamic pages that we made, we have a form on the website where people in the field on Jason's team are pulling up a form on their phone, and after they complete a job, they'll take a couple pictures of the job, send it in, some basic bullet points as to what just happened, what they did. So maybe it was a shed removal where they tore down a whole shed and took it out. So they'll take a picture of it before, a picture of it after, and then our team will use that info to make a little write-up so we could just add content onto the website frequently. But it's also authentic and meaningful content. So when people go to the website, they can check out actual jobs they've done and say, hey, this looks similar to what I need to be done, and I know they can do it now.
Yeah, great call out, Evan. I was just going to ask that about user-generated content and reviews and examples. A little bit maybe less relevant for Paul's business, but can you expand on that? I mean, how when you look at website analytics and traffic, what percent of that is being discovered through UGC versus other maybe more structured content that you've intentionally placed on the website?
Yeah, that's good. So the thing about structured content is there's only so much of it I feel like you could write. You can't make 20 pages about the same service because then that's really not helpful content. It's kind of just you're trying to manipulate Google. And Google, this is something that's happened in the past couple of years. They've gotten way smarter. And they even just recently, as like a couple months ago, they put out information about how they're trying to go after those manipulative town pages or how people will make location pages in locations that they aren't actually existing in, and duplicate content. So basically, you could write a page for every of your services. That's what you should do. But there comes like a wall where you don't want to create duplicate content and you don't want to be redundant. And so how do you create more content, fresh content on your website? This is something that we came up with that's authentic. It's useful. People, when they go on the website, they'll actually want to see it instead of like a town page where, junk services in and then a different town and you make a bunch of those pages. When people go on there, those types of pages, they know it's not natural. And then Google's also catching on to that. So because of that, we're looking for these other methods to basically create more content on the website and keep the website fresh. And also do more SEO. So in each of these pages that we make, we're mentioning keywords that we're trying to rank for, and we're mentioning towns that we want to do services in, and you have done services in. And so it's authentic, it's real, and that's just a solution we came up with to basically keep the website fresh, but also stay compliant with Google's new rules.
Well done, Evan. And it's not always maybe obvious to all of us that aren't in the industries that we're serving that you can still keep a website like junk removal very fresh, right? And relevant. I was reminded of Service Titan in the professional services category. They had an amazing Instagram where I think I was just trying to find the name of the account, but it's like every Friday they would have people, their customers, post like the funniest jobs or the most disgusting jobs or the most horrendous jobs that they had to do that week. And it became kind of a lore where, their customers were sharing these kind of incredible stories from, of course, using Service Titan and being out in the field. So maybe to lighten it up a bit, Jason, and in that vein, like, what are some of the most outlandish things that you've been asked to remove from someone's property or someone's place of business since you launched the company?
I would say an entire basement full of sex toys.
All right, we went there.
Yeah, I mean, I figure I'd just go all the way there if you're gonna ask for the most, because that's probably the most. But then there's also just a lot of disgusting things. A lot of what we remove is not for worth keeping or reselling or donating. It's just straight up trash. And there's been a lot of eviction cleanouts and a lot of just furniture and trash that are just dragged out to dumpsters, and so lots of gross stuff as well. And we actually do turn some things down, some jobs down as well, and we'll refer them to like a disaster cleanup company because we have to keep our employees and they have a certain limit and we can't do absolutely everything. But we do everything we can.
So no like boxes of like 1954 baseball cards, that were found in the attic that somebody got to keep. Like nothing
Yeah,
cool.
we get good. No, we get cool stuff for sure. We get baseball cards, record collections, speakers, bikes, stuff like that. But that comes more from the residential side of the business. So the commercial side, we don't get much cool stuff on that side.
Got it.
And if you want to go check out some stuff that Jason's brought out of people's basements and attics, and well, his team, I should say, you can go to the website and check out in the navigation the Our Work page. You could see those recent jobs that they've done. So
yeah.
Other thing we've realized recently is we better make sure we're willing to do that kind of job again if we're going to post it, because someone will call us and be like, "Oh, do you do shed demolition in Lizard Lick, North Carolina?" And we're like, "Oh man, we can travel that far or something." And we're like, "Well, it's on your website." And we're like, "Yeah, we do it." But they also helped us like early on, kind of define services to offer because we were so new in the industry that we didn't even know some of the main services. So we do a ton of hot tub removals and piano removals, and we didn't necessarily think we needed to offer that service, but it's just a constant need for us, and pretty much every junk removal company has a site on that on their website because everybody needs it at some point if you have a hot tub or a piano.
Paul, I'll direct your question to you. What's the most difficult aspect, today of running the business, right? Is it getting more leads, getting more customers? Is it managing a team? What's the most difficult thing that you deal with on a day-to-day basis?
The most difficult thing for us is the service of the equipment and getting equipment from point A to point B. That is something that's almost always, of course, out of our control. You'll sometimes have a company that's not quite on the up and up, and they'll borrow a part off of our equipment to fix their equipment, and then have us order equipment to fix ours. Doesn't happen all that often, but it always seems to happen when you really need that piece of equipment. And the other thing is because of the it's a trucking logistics shortage. Getting equipment from point A to point B is a constant struggle. So we're always in contact with tons of different logistics companies saying, we've got this coming up. Excuse me. Can you help us out? Would you like to be on a first call basis? That type of thing. And we get a lot of interest through the website. Again, hey, we're really good here on the East Coast. We can get your stuff there. Here's our pricing. Here's this. Here's that. That's been great for us to reach out on that. Our problem, I kind of want to go back to the chat thing. Matt and I had this conversation, and he was really pushing the chat. But when it comes to our business, if somebody says, that, "Hey, in the chat, you said you were going to rent me this a JLG 1200," I don't really have anything to back that up. You can have a transcript, you can have this, you can have that, but an email tends to carry a lot more weight, or even just that phone call of someone making that order. I really would like to. You can order with us online, yes, but I would tell you that with something like chat, which again I'm very interested in, it's hard to solidify a re-rental that way or that piece of business with that. It can take you to the next point, but it's always going to come back to them checking the specs, making sure that the weight limits are correct, what it's going to cost to get the logistics there. That is a struggle. And again, you might have 4 or 5 companies in Atlanta, Georgia, wanting the exact same piece of equipment or different pieces of equipment. And you've got to you've got to make sure that you take care of everybody, and that can be really rough. Do you always take care of this customer? Do you always take care of that customer? You really try to spread it out and make sure that you take care of as many as you can. But that is really the most difficult part.
Yep.
Except when you want brand new equipment and you put an order in for 10 pieces and you actually make a deposit on that, and you get you've already rented them out in advance of receiving them, and then you find out, oh, of those 10 units that you paid for, we're only going to give you 3 because somebody else needs them as well. That is really a major problem in our business, and it doesn't just happen to us, it happens to everybody. The manufacturers are trying to take care of everyone, but often you can find yourself on the short end if you're just, and that's just the way the business is going right now. And again, you're putting out a considerable amount of cash to secure that piece of equipment, and so is somebody else, and you don't always know who you're kind of competing with to be able to get it. So those are the big things that I feel that we have it. As far as getting customers, our website works great. Our outreach works fantastic. Where our utilization is close to 80%. So that's really not too bad. And we have 440 pieces of equipment. So that utilization works.
I think that's a great point, right? Like not all new web technologies are going to work perfectly for every business that's out there. And for you guys, where it's highly specific and requires deep investment both from you guys and the customer to really get exactly what they need, live chat may not be the best option to kind of push that through, and may not be the most kind of concrete channel to communicate and get that done. Where different businesses like Jason, it may work really well, where it's more of a lead capture and more of, great, let's go and finalize it after the fact. That's there. It's a really just making sure that the tools you use fit the business. Yeah.
I think one option, I don't know if this is typical or if it's done or not, but having one of your sales reps or one of your internal employees managing the live chat during business hours definitely could be helpful, because we've had live people manage the chat versus chat bots, and it was better than a bot, but they still couldn't answer any real questions the customer had. So if I was managing it, I could answer any question they had, and I could schedule them on the spot. So, and that may be something we may even consider, if we could, funnel it through our Go High Level chat. That would, at least during business hours, probably be pretty helpful to people.
But to your point, Jason, I've wanted to set up a station in our office, and that was nothing more than someone that would handle that. But I mean this without exaggeration. As soon as we try to do something like that, we get pulled in different directions. We have a limited staff because it's very hard to find. It was one of the things, I think, a question that you guys prepped us with was, how do you retain employees? How do you get employees? It's not like when you go to Indeed, you see something that says, oh, you can be a re-rental salesperson. It's not like that. It takes a lot of training. You've got to learn a lot. You've got to understand how the equipment works, how much it weighs, how high it goes, how much it can lift. And when you have that as a live chat, that person could be tied up with the customer for 1 hour, 2 hours sometimes on trying to get everything done. Then all of a sudden, you've got people waiting in the chat line for that amount of time. And I tell you, from my own personal experience and just trying to get my furniture delivered, where I once spent close to literally 2 hours trying to get something done on a chat line, it becomes very frustrating. These folks need to know, do you have the equipment? Can you get it to me? What is my rate? Can I extend that past 6 months? And then bam, it's over and it's done. But I really would like to have the answer person in a chat, because I think it would be extremely beneficial for us. It's just very hard to justify when you can receive an email or an online quote request.
We kind of treat it like a call center role. Like if you're on the phones all day, then you can also chat while in between calls. But you definitely have to be dedicated to that task. You can't be task switching back and forth to live chat, and it definitely can be super distracting.
I just
Great,
don't want
gentlemen.
to disappoint anybody. I don't want somebody upset because we didn't get to them right away. Our service and parts folks who get things done, I've heard them wait with certain manufacturers again 30, 40 minutes, and everyone's hearing the music in the background, kind of a thing, as they're waiting to be able to put a request in for a part, and that has pulled me back from saying, okay, Nat, let's get this done. It's I know this sounds crazy. Again, I'd really love to have it. I just think that we would be disappointing people because that person or persons would be a little too tied up trying to get things done.
Yeah, really good feedback, both Paul and Jason. Love the tips and tricks and sharing of best practices back and forth here. We have about 4 minutes left in our session, and maybe just to conclude, we could do a quick kind of roundtable, both for our SMB owners and for our agency partners. Looking into 2023, what is one main trend that you're really excited about, or that you want to try in your business to either accelerate growth or improve retention? What's that one thing that you want to make a priority next year? Maybe Evan, we'll start with you.
Yeah, sure. I'll start. One thing that, I wish we could have talked a little bit more on here, but it's fine. I just see happening in the most recently in the past 2 years is I feel like Google is prioritizing paid media more. And maybe that's just the way Google is, but it makes sense that they would prioritize and make it work better for the way they get paid. One way Google gets paid, one way Google doesn't, SEO and PPC. So I think that paid media is been increasingly more important in the past 2 years. SEO is still obviously important, but Google gets paid through those sources. And you could see that through, LSA, Google Local Service Ads being new in the past couple of years. They're trying to dip into the home advisor and directory market. I just think paid media is going to be increasingly more important. So
Great call out, Evan. Yeah. Nat, how about you?
I think, and it was something yesterday that Andy from Orbit Media touched on yesterday, and it was personalizing websites. And I think it's pictures of who you're dealing with and videos if you can do it. And I think it layers on top. What we're seeing is people want to know who they're dealing with. They want to know, I'm not spending money with Owl Street Design or DevelopMark or, Count Juncula. Who are these guys? And we look at our Duda statistics, and we look at pages that are hit. The bio pages are normally in the top 5. People want to see who they're dealing with, so we want to put a face to it. And Andy brought that up yesterday, which I thought was pretty cool. And then if you can, insert a 30 to 45 second video on there, that's even better. I think that's going to connect people with an SMB a lot better than a lot of these things. The pictures are free. The videos, if you can get it done, and you don't need to spend a lot of money on these. You can shoot them with your phone because they look more real. It's not a big investment, and yet it can result in a lot of leads for them.
Amazing. So the humanization of SMBs, I love it, Nat. Jason and Paul, can we get 30 seconds from each of you on a trend you're excited about?
Yeah, I'll go quick. I want to do more social, more paid social, more retargeting, more like hyper targeted retargeting. Like I went to Count Juncula of Raleigh's dumpster rental page, and then they get hit with a dumpster rental video the next time they go on Instagram based on that exact page they visited. And really dialing in our analytics and just committing more to content creation and spreading the brand and making funny videos and stuff like that.
Great.
I want to back up what Nat said, that the who we are is constantly in our top 10. When I look every Tuesday morning, he sends me our report, and the who we are is 1, 2, 3, or 4. It's always one of the top things people look at. we've expanded on that. We put pictures on there. We tell how long they've been with the company. And again, it gets looked at a lot.
Great. Thank you so much, Paul, Jason, Evan, Matt. Really appreciate you guys joining us today and being part of this. It was a really insightful session. And thank you also to Alan for jumping in and joining me here too. If you guys want to hang out on the line, we're about to jump into our keynote session here in the next minute. For everyone that's on the live stream, please hang out. We have a kind of a full co-founder keynote that covers updated vision, a lot of details of what Duda's working on into the future. So hang tight, and we'll hand that over here. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Hello, Itai.
I've always had a very deep appreciation for digital agencies and web professionals. Many people don't know, but when Amir and I started working on Duda, we didn't have customers or even users. Like many other early stage startups, we had to walk the streets and knock on doors of businesses in order to win our first customers. We started with an agency model, building sites for anyone who would be willing to pay us. It was the early days of mobile, late 2008. We both still had a lot of hair on our heads. We built a really cool tool that optimized desktop websites for mobile. In order to test our product, we put an ad on Google and offered small businesses to build the sites for them. Kind of eating our own dog food until we felt the platform was ready enough to put in the hands of our users. Throughout the years, the Duda product has evolved and changed. We launched our responsive website builder in 2014 and doubled down on web pros in 2016. Since then, we've been laser focused on our mission to enable web professionals and provide them with the most innovative and efficient tools for creating, managing, and cultivating the online presence of their SMB customers. This singular focus has helped propel us to where we are today, with 20,000 web professionals on the platform and over 1 million active websites published on the platform. Welcome everyone to day 2 of DudaCon. I'm Itai Sadan, the CEO and co-founder of Duda. And with me here is Amir Glatt, co-founder and CTO, and Russ Jeffrey, Director of Ecosystem and Product Strategy. We hope you've been enjoying the content so far and looking forward to what we have next. DudaCon is Duda's event focused on digital agencies, aiming to share industry insights, updates, and ways to help you grow your business. Today, I'd also like to reaffirm our commitment to all web professionals out there by walking you through our updated vision statement for the company. To empower web professionals to create the next generation of web experiences. Let me break this down for you. Empowering web pros, what does that mean? Duda's goal is to make each web pro the hero in the eyes of their clients. In listening to our customers, we hear that each and every one of you is working with limited budgets, design resources, and more. Yet, your clients demand beautiful, seamless, pixel-perfect, high-ranking websites delivered on time, and ultimately, that deliver results. That's no small task. And our goal here at Duda is to make that possible for each and every web pro on the planet. It's a high bar, and we've set our eyes on empowering you all to do these things quickly. I'll hand it over to Amir to introduce you to what next generation websites mean.
Hi, everyone. I'm Amir, the CTO of Duda, and I want to talk to you about what we mean when we say next generation of web experiences. So, the web is continually evolving, and your clients continue to expect more capabilities. They expect to be able to transact online. They expect to be able to give a personalized experience. They expect a seamless experience from online to offline. So in addition to delivering marketing, web design, web development services, and more to your clients, you're now expected to be digital experience consultants, helping clients solve complex online workflows by taking previously physical experiences and trying to replicate them digitally. And we all know that during the COVID pandemic, this became like more and more common amongst SMBs. So this is why Duda is focused on continually giving more powerful website features at your fingertips without the extra days of coding and development. You will see, based on what we have in store today, that Duda is committed to empowering you to deliver feature-rich websites rapidly and successfully to your clients. So to give an overview of the individual aspects which comprise our vision, I'll leave you in the capable hands of Russ. Russ, take it from here.
Great. Thanks, Amir. Really excited to be here today and cover off what we have in store. Let's start today with something I'm very passionate about and many of our customers have been asking us quite a lot about recently. Back in the summer of 2020, we acquired Snipcart to make e-commerce a core native feature of the Duda platform. Our existing e-commerce functionality is powered by a third-party partner, which we've deeply integrated to the platform. While it's a great tool and we have many successful customers on it, Duda felt that we needed to control the full e-commerce technology stack in order to power what we see as the future of the web. We believe that digital transactions are a fundamental tenet of powering the next generation of websites. Transactions are more than just a cart and checkout experience. It's membership subscriptions, quick one-time payments, it's invoicing, and more. Websites that can power digital transactions and bridge the offline to online worlds ultimately deliver greater value. Duda wants to give web professionals the tools they need to do exactly these things. Duda's investment in e-commerce is exactly about building the next generation of websites on the web. And with Duda having the full technology stack, we can do just that. We're starting our transaction journey with a focus on e-commerce, but that really is just the start of Duda's path forward. With that, let me introduce you to Duda e-commerce. Duda's e-commerce enables you to build fully functioning e-commerce sites quickly with full design flexibility, top-notch performance you expect from Duda, and a fully native experience. We're excited to announce that Duda e-commerce will be available in Q4 of this year. So it's already been in the hands of several hundred customers of ours in beta, and we love the feedback that we're giving. So keep an eye out for the announcement coming your way. With that said, let me hand this over to Nadia, who's recorded a demo for us to show you what Duda e-commerce looks like.
Hi, my name is Nadia. I'm a product manager for Duda e-commerce. Today I'm going to talk to you about the new Duda native e-commerce solution and how it will empower web professionals to create the new generation of web experiences. Let's dive in on what's available right now in the product, and then I will give a short overview of our roadmap. Let's review our client. Sustainable home design store. Small business selling home goods that needs to have unique brand design to underline its values. First thing you see when you get to the e-com tab is the menu divided into 3 parts: store management, back office of the store containing all necessary store configurations, store pages, the way to get to the store pages in the editor, and store widgets, store-specific widgets that can be used in the store pages. In order to make sure that we have all our products ready to be sold online, let's go to the Duda native store catalog via store management, manage products. Here I will brush up existing product parameters. I see here that I have title and I'm missing product description, so I will quickly add it here. I have media and I also have the product price and product options. Here I will add another options that I want to sell. Great. And I want to edit product description so that my product is easily found online. Okay, great. Let's save my product. And let's preview the product in the editor. Great. Duda native e-commerce gives free design control over your product pages. Unlike other systems which require editing code to customize design, Duda gives this flexibility out of the box. Let's look at the product page template. The page consists of separate widgets connected to different product parameters: product name, product price, product description, which you see was updated based on what I added in the product catalog. Also, I can change design of each element here on the page. For example, I can change the text of the button. I can also change the color of the button. I can add background on the row as I did here, and many other things. Let's check another product. You can see that the product properties were changed according to the product, but added widgets and design stayed the same. So you don't need to design each product page separately and save a lot of time by just creating page design once and using product catalog for showing content. The main advantage of Duda native e-commerce is that you have full control of the product page and can simply connect dynamic elements like price, product name, images, and other fields from the product catalog into the site design process. Now, when we finished with product design, let's move to the store back office settings. Sustainable Home Design Store is located in the US, New York, so the payment gateway they need would be Stripe or PayPal. Let's navigate to Payment Gateways page. And here we see that Duda native e-commerce indeed supports Stripe and PayPal Express. So the only thing we will need from the business owner is to ask their account details of Stripe or PayPal, and then we will be able to easily connect it in one click. Also, Duda native e-commerce supports custom payment gateway API, so it will be possible to build integrations to many more payment gateways. Next step is to configure shipping. Sustainable Home Design Store is located in New York, so I will set up flat rate for local delivery. For that, I will set up the shipping zone in New York, and the shipping method will be standard shipping that will cost $10. Great. I also have taxes set up, which is a New York sales tax. And my store is ready. For this session, I'm done. I think my store is really ready to go live. Let's look at my published store. I get to the store page, choose the product. Now I get to the product page with the updated design, and I add the product option, which I want to buy. I add it to the cart, and I'm going to checkout. Cart and checkout is developed by Snipcart, headless e-commerce company recently acquired by Duda. I'm adding my name, my email, all the details I need to complete the checkout. Great. I can also see now that my standard shipping is configured as well as taxes. So I can continue to payment. I'm adding my payment details. And voila, my order is completed. So my store is ready to go. Duda native e-commerce is and will continue to be a focus for Duda. We will continue to invest in it next year, and here are just a sneak peek of features we plan on introducing. We are going to invest in tax and shipping automation to be able to configure store even faster. Custom fields will allow even more design flexibility, allowing to connect product catalog fields to Duda widgets. We will add scale to the stores by introducing product import and product variations. And we'll make sure to have all the retention-driving features like abandoned carts, notifications, and subscriptions, as well as continue taking care of top-notch SEO support and introducing first apps with e-com focus in our App Store. With Duda native e-commerce, you can build stores that sell and be easily found online. That's it. Hope to see you building amazing stores on Duda native e-commerce. Back to you guys.
Thank you, Nadia. We're really excited to get this into the hands of our customers and see what they can build on top of Duda. As you can tell, it's going to be a core focus of Duda going forward to have e-commerce as part of the Duda platform. The next aspect of Duda's vision is users. Managing user profiles power some of the most valuable online experiences on the web today. Services like Masterclass, Coursera, Barry's Fitness, and many other examples all revolve around a user login. By far, membership was our most requested feature and is a natural extension into the world of powerful digital experiences. By leveraging the power of Duda's existing content management system, membership adds a new layer where you can create sites that require registration or payments to access gated content. Membership opens entirely new types of websites that can be built on top of Duda. Health and fitness classes, creators looking to build their own presence and audience, adventure guides, exclusive communities, nonprofit organizations, live streaming courses, and many other examples can be powered through membership type experiences. Membership was first released earlier this year, and today we're excited to announce the next major iteration, paid membership, which will allow you to charge a subscription before giving access to it. Paid membership will be available by the end of September for you to come and use and start charging clients directly. Let me hand this over to Sharon, the product manager for membership, to give you a demo of the paid membership feature that we'll be releasing.
Hi, I'm Sharon, and today I'm going to talk to you about paid membership. Paid membership is a key component in empowering our customers to build the next generation of web experiences. As you all know, in recent years, we've seen a major shift towards online commerce. The first wave of this shift revolved around traditional businesses creating websites and selling their physical products online. Membership sites are the next phase in that revolution. Now, businesses can also sell digital products such as newsletters, training videos, or online courses. To show you how it works, I created this example site and say I want to offer online courses in that site. To do that, I'll go ahead and navigate to the membership section from the left panel and choose membership plans. Here I'll create a new plan. For each plan, you can see that it has a few different sections. The first one is the plan info. The second one are the assigned pages, meaning the pages that will this plan give access to. And the third one is the pricing. So I'll go ahead and fill in the details. I want to create a UX course, and I want to assign the UX design page to that course. And the last step would be to create the price for it, which is $25 a month. I'll click Save. And as you can see, I created my first plan. The next step would be to create this plan on the site itself and allow end users to purchase it. To do that, I'll go back to the site. I'll quickly click Preview and go to the courses page. And since I created the UX design course, I'll go ahead and connect it to the plan. So I'll change the text here to purchase, and I'll choose the membership plan checkout. As you can see, I have the $25 UX design course, which I previously created. I will choose it, and that's essentially it. I've now created a membership site for my users. Now we can go ahead and publish and see how this flow would look like for the site visitor. So I'm going to click Publish. I'll wait a few seconds until the publish flow has been completed, and I'll go ahead and open the site itself. Now, I'll browse to the courses section, and I'll go ahead and purchase the UX design course. Once I click purchase, because I'm not logged in, I will be first taken through the sign up flow. I will sign up with my Google account, choose my credentials, and after I signed up, I will be automatically taken to the checkout flow. So as you can see now, the checkout flow has been opened. You see that it has the UX course. It's a recurring $25 payment. I'll quickly go ahead and fill in some dummy details. For that course, I'll continue to the payment itself. I don't need to enter any credit card number here because I'm using a test environment, so I'll simply go ahead and place the order. And once I have done that, I am taken to the checkout page telling me that my membership plan is now available. I can go back to the home page, and as you can see, when I try to navigate to the UX design course, you see that I get access to it. Now, if we go back to the editor and revisit the membership section, you now see that I have a new member with a membership plan of UX course. And I can also see here that I have one paying member for that plan. And that's it. This is how you set up a membership plan on Duda. That's it for paid membership. Based on your feedback, we'll be adding more capabilities in the coming months. Back to you guys.
Thanks, Sharon. Paid membership is also a powerful example of Duda's transaction strategy. We wouldn't be able to power features like this without having payments and transactions at the heart of the Duda technology stack. The next aspect of Duda's strategy for next generation websites is data-driven websites. Traditional website builders integrate content directly into the design of websites. As you build a website, your content gets placed directly as part of the design. This means that the design and content are mixed together. This is great because it lets you build individual pages quickly and get immediate visual feedback that your content fits into the design of a web page. But integrating content directly into the design doesn't work great when you're building out larger sites that have data at the core. Traditional CMS platforms like WordPress, Drupal, Joomla, and many others separate content from design. This means that your content lives separately from the design, is only added when needed. This has the inverse problem. You can manage large amounts of content more easily, but you lose out on how quickly you can build websites because you don't get the immediate visual feedback while designing. At Duda, we enable the best of both worlds. You can quickly get a web page out by combining content with the design. And when needed, especially for more complex and larger websites, Duda gives you the power of traditional CMSs out there. This is where Duda's dynamic pages and collections come to the rescue. They power a richer website experience by enabling you to build larger, more complex websites. In fact, the core e-commerce pages that Nadia demoed a few minutes ago are built on dynamic pages. You get to design a dynamic page, and each product page, and soon category pages, is automatically generated based on the number of products that you've added. As you can tell, data-driven websites are a core tenet of powering Duda's next generation website strategy. You don't have to write complex code to generate and build large websites. Duda empowers you to focus on delivering value for your clients. The final aspect of Duda's next generation website strategy is design. Design and content is the glue that ties all of the core aspects of next generation websites together. You would not be able to build a membership site without first designing a charge to customer option. You'll not be able to showcase products without being able to design the product page to highlight what is being sold. Last year, Duda set out on rebuilding the core editing experience of Duda. We had not drastically updated that core layout engine since we launched our responsive builder in 2014. It was time to upgrade and leverage modern layout concepts like CSS Flex and Grid, and also truly make websites responsive on the Duda platform. This was a big and bold project to update the core editing experience. It's been a long road, but we're excited about the progress and building on top of the new core editing experience that we have. I'd like to hand this off to my colleague Mayan so she can show you some of the great things that the new layout technology allows you to build rapidly.
Hi, my name is Mayan. I am product manager for Duda Flex. I am excited to share with you the latest improvements we have done with Flex. As you know, we constantly think about our users and we want you to be able to create sites quickly, but without compromising on the design. One of the greatest things about Flex is the ability to create your layout and edit it really fast. So here I already have 2 columns, but I can add more columns if I need. I can also change the space between those columns directly from the design panel. I can kind of eyeball it from the slider, or I can set an accurate value. Great. Also, when resizing, you can see that the content is really responding to the resizing. Okay. Another great thing is controlling the alignment. And let's start with vertical align. So here I can just in a click of a button, change the vertical align to top, middle, bottom, space between, or space around. For this example, I will use middle. Great. Now I can also change the default by sliding the elements space between them. And again, I can set a directly the value. I don't have to always change the alignment of all the objects. I can also do something that is very specific for an item. Great. The other thing is controlling the horizontal alignment. So I can do it from the panel, but I can also go to this floating bar of quick actions and change the alignment directly from there. Great. So in order to complete this features list, I'm going to duplicate this column and replace the content. Great. So I have designed it once on this main breakpoint. Now let's review it on the other devices. And you can see that I don't need to do anything. My design looks perfect. Also on tablet and mobile. If I want, I can do some tweaks, but I really don't have to because DudaFlex does all the heavy lifting for me. Now I'd like to share some of our future plans. Our goal is next generation editor based on Flex layout in a single editing experience, meaning direct entry into the Flex editor to give you the best and simple experience without entering and exiting a mode. Flex header and responsive site layout for a complete site in Flex from the start with a more intuitive layer creation that looks great on all screen sizes. Default Flex pages, and more pre-made designs. To support your site creation, you will have all the pre-made assets you need made in Flex. Pages, pop-ups, sections, and of course, templates. Drag and drop widgets between Flex sections and from the widgets panel to provide you with a slick and intuitive drag and drop that will save you time on your site creation. With robust technology behind the scenes and simple and easy layout creation on the front, DudaFlex is all about creating beautiful sites in no time. Back to you guys.
DudaFlex is definitely a very exciting capability. I want to shift now to the other part of our vision statement, empowering web pros. As I mentioned earlier, the basis of empowering web pros is making sure you all look great when you face your customers, giving you that confidence that Duda has always your back. The first tenet of empowerment is productivity. Building websites rapidly is at the heart of Duda. We constantly hear that agencies that switch to Duda spend 50% less time for each site build as compared to any other tool. This is compounded by the time saved by not having to manage servers, plugins, and more when using Duda. Duda has for a long time invested in numerous capabilities to speed up the site build process. Beautiful and so thoughtful templates and sections, auto-adapting content to fit all screens, powerful widgets, and more. Reducing or eliminating repetitive tasks is a key aspect of enabling productivity. Web pros hate going page by page to make minor updates to a website, like changing button styles or colors. we're excited to announce global colors, which allows you to set a color once and reuse them across the website. You can later change these colors and it will automatically reflect across all places on your site where you use that same color. A huge time saver. We'll be launching global colors this year, followed by more improvements to the global design. Let me hand it over to Abigail to show you more.
Hi, I'm Abigail, Product Manager at Duda. We're constantly looking for new ways to empower you with site building tools that allow you to work more efficiently. One of the most powerful time-saving tools available in Duda's editor is Global Design. Global Design lets you set the default styling of text and various additional elements across the site. For those of you familiar with Duda's editor, you've already used Global Design. Today, I'm here to introduce you to the first in a series of improvements we'll be making to Global Design. Global colors. Best practice site designs are generally based off of a set of a few colors that repeat again and again across the entire site, most often inspired by your client's logo. Changing the color of each element manually on a site takes time. Time we want to free up so you can use it to continue growing your business. Global Colors does just that. It takes the manual work out of branding a site by linking all elements back to your site's global color palette, allowing you to update the entire color scheme of a site in just a couple of clicks. Let's take a look at how that's going to work. So here's a Duda site that I created for my client based off of a pre-existing template. As you can see, this site is based off of a color scheme of green and pink. My client just reached out and let me know she's finally decided on her new brand colors, purple and blue. So what I'm going to do is navigate to my global design panel. This is where I manage repeating site styles to make my site build faster. I'll navigate to this new section, Global Colors. As you can see, my global colors are currently set to the color scheme that you see right now on my site. Now I'm going to start transforming the site to match my client's new branding. So first I'm going to change this green to my client's purple. You may have noticed that everything that was previously that shade of green has updated to purple. I'm going to continue updating the global colors to match my client's new branding. With each change, the linked elements on the site update to match the new color I've selected. Now that I'm happy with the site's color scheme, I'm going to exit the global design panel. Just like that, the entire site matches my client's new branding. Going forward, as I add or adjust elements on the site, I'll be able to connect them directly to global colors so that I can keep everything up to date as I go. Global Colors makes it possible to transform the style of an existing template or site in a matter of seconds, something that previously would have taken you a lot of manual work and time. Global Colors is currently in early stages of development, and we expect it to be released before the end of the year. Back to you guys.
Thanks, Abigail. That's very exciting. Can't wait to see you using global colors. And as Abigail said, this is just like one of different features that we're going to add to global design and reusability to help you build websites faster. Now I want to talk to you about another important aspect of how we empower web pros, which is performance. We all know how important website performance is. It is important to the end user's experience, it is important to Google, and it's very important to your clients. We also know at the same time how tedious and time-consuming it is to optimize websites for performance. That's why at Duda, we are constantly investing in making sure every website built on Duda has great performance, so you won't need to deal with it and have more time to run your business. As you can see in this chart, when comparing Duda site's Core Web Vitals ranking to other platforms, Duda is the clear winner. This is a chart from a Google tool that is comparing different website builders and CMS for Core Web Vitals, which is today the standard for website performance and user experience. Now, the reason that we are so much better is it didn't happen by a miracle. This is really the result of hard work we put in optimizing every aspect of the site user experience. Let me give you some examples of what we are doing automatically for every site on the Duda platform. First, we automatically optimize image sizes. When you upload an image, we store it in the CDN, and then based on the actual user requesting the image, depends on the device, the container of the image, the browser, and more, we automatically generate the right size and the right resolution of image to serve them, so it will be as small as possible. We prioritize content, so only the relevant content that the user is seeing is downloaded immediately, and all the rest of the content will be downloaded later on. We invest a lot in our AWS infrastructure, in our hosting infrastructure, to load sites from the nearest location using advanced CDN technology. We also implement new web standards, such as HTTP3, that we just launched, I think, like 2 weeks ago, WebP images, broadly compression to make sure that website documents are as small as possible when sent to the browser. We lazy load heavy widgets that requires a lot of initialization, things like map widgets and others. So only when a user is actually scrolling them, we initialize them. All of that provides the result that you saw before. And what's more important than what we did is that our team of experts is constantly analyzing and monitoring the website's performance. So you can rest assured we have your back. So if we have some degradation in performance for some sites, our engineers immediately can see that and can work on improvements to make sure that we have the fastest loading sites in the industry. So that's about performance, and let me get you back to Russ to continue.
Thanks, Amir. The final aspect of Duda's empowerment strategy is managing your business more effectively. Duda helps you manage your web design business more effectively through tools that we give you in the dashboard. Things like team management, so you can have your team log in and manage websites alongside you while controlling what access they get. Client management, so you can give your clients access to the exact part of the platform that you want them to have access to make updates on their own when needed. Site comments enables you to communicate directly on top of the platform with either your clients or with your team members to help design and iterate on web design faster. We've recently launched our newest tool to help you collect money and get paid faster, client billing. This allows you to put the entire process of charging your clients directly inside of Duda and manage that from the Duda dashboard. You can connect client billing to things like publishing the website, taking it live, and ensuring it stays live as long as the client is paying. To tell you more about client billing, let me hand this over to Abigail again to give you an overview of the tool.
Hey again. We've been talking a lot about empowering web professionals today. Earlier this year, we launched Client Billing, which is yet another way Duda empowers you with tools to save you time and simplify your workflow. With Duda's Client Billing, you can request, view, and manage client payments all from your Duda dashboard. Client Billing allows you to charge for all of your services, including one-time payments like site design and logo creation, or subscriptions such as annual hosting or monthly SEO services. When requesting a payment from a client, you can set automations so the site will publish, republish, or stay live based on payment status. And Duda will also take care of emailing the client about their payments for you. With billing a part of your Duda account, everything is white labeled to match your brand, your workflow is streamlined, and your clients get a complete professional experience, strengthening your value and your brand. Once logged into Duda, Client Billing takes just a few minutes to set up by navigating to the Client Billing tab and setting up a new Stripe account. Once connected, you'll be ready to begin requesting payments from your clients directly from your dashboard, which you're probably already visiting on a daily basis. From here, you can manage all of your client payments. As you can see, I've been using Client Billing for a little while now, so I already have a list of payments that I previously requested from my clients. One of my clients, Christine, has a hospitality group focused in food and beverage outlets. I've already built a few sites for Christine, and now she's opening a new cafe and has asked me to create a site for it. I just finished building the cafe's website, and all that's left to do is charge Christine, and then we can go live. So what I'm going to do is create a new payment request. And first, I'm going to select Christine as the client I would like to bill. I'm then going to begin selecting the products and services that I would like to bill Christine for. I'm first going to bill her $550 for the initial website design. I'm then going to select $49 a month for monthly web hosting, as well as $55 a month for SEO services. I also wrote 2 blog posts for Christine's initial site launch that I'm going to bill her for as well. As you can see, Christine is going to be billed $794 for the first invoice and then $104 a month after that. Now I have the option to set up automatic actions for this payment request. I'm not sure exactly when Christine is going to pay, but I do know that she wants the site live ASAP. So I'm going to select Site Publish, which means that her site will be automatically published once she successfully makes the first payment. Because I selected an automatic action, I now need to select the site that should be published. Otherwise, I would have had the option to make payment requests for activities that are not connected to any specific site. I'm also going to set the site to be kept live only as long as Christine keeps paying. If Christine's payment fails, we'll alert her and try to charge her payment method again based on your predefined retry schedule before applying the automatic action. These automations mean I don't need to manually chase and check payment status. Everything will be taken care of for me, and Christine gets immediate service by having her site published as soon as she pays. Now we're ready to move to the next step. So you can see here that an email will be sent to Christine initially requesting the payment. There will also be confirmation emails sent after payment has been made and site is published. In case Christine fails to pay, follow-up emails are going to be sent to her automatically as well. I'm just going to go ahead and customize the text in this first email. Can't wait for the grand opening. Click Save, and now we're ready to send. So now I've swapped over as if I'm my client, Christine. Here's the email requesting payment. I see all the details right here, and the email has my agency's logo and brand colors. So as Christine, I would click here to pay the payment request. Now that I've finished paying the request, I'm automatically redirected to Christine's dashboard, where I've already given Christine permissions to access the site. You can see here that the site has already been published, and Christine can also navigate to her Payments tab, where she'll be able to review past and pending payments. As you can see, we designed client billing with not only you in mind, but also your clients. There's no need for either of you to access two different systems in order to request, pay, or review payments. Agencies can charge not only for the site itself, but for all of the services you offer directly from the same platform that you are working in every day. Your clients will also be reminded of the value that they gain from you by checking out your branded platform and their site performance while reviewing their payments all from the same dashboard. We're continuing to make improvements to client billing on a regular basis, so keep your eyes out for new capabilities within the feature. Back to you guys.
I think it's really cool how we managed to tie payments and the status of the website, automating a lot of that communication and taking away that hassle from web pros in order and just helping them really focus on their day-to-day work and not being too worried about collecting payment and communicating with customers around that. As you can tell, we've been working on a lot recently. We're excited about all the new product and features we have been working on, like e-commerce, paid membership, client billing, which we just saw, or Flex. And can't wait for you to start using them and share your experience with us. I want to thank you all for joining DudaCon, for being great customers, for sharing your feedback, and for pushing us to improve the platform and become a better company. Thank you.
Great. Since we have a couple of minutes left and we have both Amir and Itai here, I thought it'd be a good opportunity to ask them some questions. So if you have questions in the audience, please put them in the chat. We'd love to get these in front of our two co-founders here today. The first one that I'll direct towards Amir is, what are things that we didn't announce today that you're excited about that are also kind of coming up down the line here?
Yeah, so obviously, we announced a lot of stuff today that we are working on, but there are a few others that we didn't talk about that are also very important. The first one is widgets. So widgets is really the core of the website editor, right? And I have to admit that we didn't release so many widgets in the last 2 years. And part of that was because we felt that our widget technology that we have in-house is a bit dated, and we need to renew it. So we worked really hard and we built the technology that allows us to build widgets. We chose React SSR, which is server-side rendering that allows us to build from one hand like really complex applications, but like to deliver it to the client without any performance degradation, which is, as I said before, it's like a key to us, right? To keep websites to be very fast. So now we have like a great technology, and we started to build widgets on top of it. So few of the widgets that you saw in the e-commerce demo are already built on this technology. The options and the cart widget. We just released yesterday a new breadcrumbs widget, which is great for SEO. I know many of you waited for it for a long time. We are in the progress of like building a new slider widget, which will be like content slider, images, content, many effects. I'm sure that like you love it. Probably next will come like new contact form with new capabilities that like many of you are waiting. So I think widgets is something that I'm pretty excited about, and we'll see more of that coming from Duda.
Cool.
That's great. Amir, there are a few questions here about kind of the simple editor coming in. Do you want to address that?
Yeah, absolutely. So like the simple editor, which we didn't address here, is like it's like kind of like Duda's effort to help agencies to scale their business and to provide not just like do it for me services, but also to like enrich the portfolio by allowing like do it yourself like websites to their clients. We see it as like kind of like for two main use cases. One, use the DIY tool, the simple editor, as a lead generation tool, meaning you can kind of like put it on your website, let customers come in, play with it, and then leave like their contact details and use them as a lead. That's one. And second is for kind of like more established agencies that really want to build like a DIY business and charge like users directly for building websites. So this is already available. We are iterating and adding like more capabilities. It's available as a custom plan today. Yeah, is there any specific question, Russ, about it, or?
No, I think in general, just it's a tool people are kind of curious about and looking at. So I'm kind of wondering how they can get their hands dirty, right? Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Another thing about it is that like the simple editor is like there's like a very smooth transition from the simple editor to the full editor. So the same site technology is powering like both of them. So you can start simple editor and then kind of like upgrade to a full site and so on. So very excited, very excited. We already have like quite a lot of like larger agencies that spin up that. And if you're interested, there's like a contact form on the website, on the simple editor page on the website. It will go directly to our team to talk to you.
Yeah, great. One question from the group here is from Kelly. She's asking about native Duda e-commerce. Is product search filtering something that will be available in the near future as well? Also, would it be able to build non-transactional product catalogs?
Yeah, so non-transactional product catalogs, yeah, absolutely. The only thing that you will need to do is just like, as Nadia showed, there's a lot of design flexibility. You will just like remove the cart widget and the add to cart widget and put instead of that a contact form, connect it like, to the product with contact form connected data, and you have a product catalog without transactions. So absolutely. In terms of like, certain filtering on the site, yeah, it's on a roadmap, not going to be available on the first day of the launch, but like soon after. We know it is very important, and for people that can't wait, they can like build custom widgets like before that.
Yep. Russ, I know we touched a lot about the innovation coming from Duda, but a lot of innovation is also coming from partners from the ecosystem around Duda, and specifically referring to our App Store. Maybe you can give a little bit of overview of some of the apps that have been recently added to the App Store, those that you're very excited about.
Yeah. So recently we've launched a few that are out there. So some chatbot tools like Agents, which allows you to communicate on top of the website again and through any channel. We've launched kind of the reviews widget from the Camel, which is a free one that's out there. It's getting great usage and some good feedback so far as well, and a few others. We do have a few really exciting ones as well that I'm looking forward to. So we have some booking tools coming down the line. One is Bookify and also Book Like a Boss. Looks like they'll be ready and kind of building in. We're looking at integrating with some SEO tools to make kind of SEO available directly inside of the Duda platform and have those at the fingertips of our customers. And there's a few more also. One thing Nadia mentioned is we're also really trying to fill out on the e-commerce side. So Duda has spent a lot of time working on kind of the e-commerce APIs to power those type of integrations. There's a whole lot of use cases out there that really depend on apps. And I think this is something we heard a lot from our customers is, looking at the e-commerce market today, you need a lot of these integrations. You need the connecting to all of the different platforms out there. Something that a lot of other e-commerce platforms do really well is having just a wide range of connections that are needed there. So
that's cool.
That's great. Yeah.
Do we have any other questions there?
Let's take a look here. Matthew is asking a search function for dynamic pages.
Yeah, so the way that we think about it is like it's kind of like the same for also like Duda e-commerce for searching products. As Russ said before, like the product pages and category pages are dynamic pages built on top of a collection, which is like the product catalog. So we're gonna build like search, which is like can serve both like dynamic pages of any collection and for like the store. So it's on the roadmap, and I hope that we can get to that like pretty soon.
That's great. Jared asked this a few minutes ago, but do we have any plans of building out a community where we can purchase widgets and sections created by Duda approved designers and developers?
Yeah, so it's a good question. So nothing in the short roadmap for that. We kind of like build like site transfer tool that allows you like more easily like to build sites or templates and transfer them to accounts. And I know like people are selling widgets on top of the Duda community. I think it's a great idea, but like with everything that we have to do, this is not in the short list right now. So,
yep.
Unfortunately, yeah.
Great. Cool. Another question that came in a little earlier related to membership. With intranet and paid membership, are there any plans to add granular access control within a site that offers like a personalized view for people that have logged in? Like, so for example, you see more based off of a membership level or a job function that's kind of assigned to them.
So right now you can add kind of like first of all, you can create like several different plans on membership. So you can say, hey, you purchased like the first plan and you see like some of the content. And if you want to see like more content, you can go to a higher plan with additional content. That's one. Second, like, you can embed like, on the membership restricted pages, you can embed widgets. You can add like widgets using custom code that is using like the user that is logged in as a param and kind of like check it versus like a third party, or using a HTML widget with like binding like that. Later on, we also plan to have kind of like what we call the personal area that like you'll be able to directly in the Duda platform build like some content that is specific to users, but this is not going to be available in the initial release like later this month.
Got it. Great. Kind of a question here from Nicholas, or also a comment. One thing in WordPress, you're able to add alt text after adding them to the site by going into the media section within WordPress. In Duda, we have to go picture by picture. Sometimes we miss a couple of clicks. Are there any kind of ideas or plans of how we can address this? It's good feedback.
It's good feedback. It's good feedback. I think that like we don't have a plan right now, but this is a good feedback. And as part of our, I think, kind of like global design efforts and trying to make you do things once and not go back and do it again and again, we should look at that as well.
Yeah. One thing I would just add there is a lot of SEO tools do this, and we'll look at this. So some of the ones I mentioned in the App Store would be able to say, great, I'm going to scan the site, audit, identify those things that you missed. So at least you have a list to kind of work off of and know where they are instead of just being caught off guard later when they don't exist, right? Great. A question from traditional web design is, any migration tips? A widget that integrates with WordPress to migrate to Duda. The migration is killing me.
So I think like we put the program, we have like, several like Duda experts that are now offering kind of like, migration services at very affordable price. And we put some resources, I think like, for helping migration with from other platforms to Duda. Yeah, I think this is we just released it like, not far ago. In terms of like, automated migration, we have automated migration services, but only for kind of customers with like many sites that wants to move over. But on individual site level, this is we don't have like an automatic technology for it.
I mean, it's great. Yeah, Itai, I was going to direct this question to you. What are the short or long-term growth kind of business plans for Duda as a company?
Yeah, great question. And I think, when we think about where we're investing, I go back to what I talked about in the session about our vision, right, to empower web pros to build next generation websites. So I think folks can expect to continue seeing us invest in these two areas. One is really in the empowerment, how to make you all more productive and just run, a better web present business. And the second part is really that next generation websites, really pushing the envelope there, seeing how you can build more, sophisticated websites, giving you more tools and more capabilities. We know it's endless, the different types of sites and capabilities. We see all these requests, keep on posting on the idea board. That's like, we definitely pay attention to a lot of what folks are asking for. And I think you can expect to see us continue and innovate in that area.
Yeah. One related question I'm just going to tag on to the end here is from Jared. He says, "We love Duda. Our agency is always going to be your core target market."
Absolutely. I think this is kind of where we feel our differentiation, our uniqueness compared to some of these other website builders. We are the website builder for web professionals, and I think that singular focus is definitely going to continue for the future.
Yeah, I think the one kind of thing is we call our customers web professionals because they're building websites, for someone else in a professional capacity. Not everyone identifies as an agency, so we use a little bit of a broader term. But really, like agencies are definitely kind of the majority and the big group of those in that web professional group.
Yeah, definitely. When I think kind of you're right, web professionals is kind of the broader term that we use here, and it encapsulates everything from, a freelancer, web designer, all the way to, digital agencies, bigger agencies, marketers in general.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Great. Magic Labs is asking kind of a specific product question, but any tutorials on how to replicate the Duda University search into a site?
The Duda University search. We have search app like Search 360. I think the Duda University, actually, it's not built on Duda. It's like a proprietary, LMS system. So I have to admit that. Scalejar, exactly. So, but I think that there are kind of quite interesting kind of tutorials on the collections and dynamic pages and building custom widgets. So in the combination of those, you can definitely achieve kind of search that filters a list of collections. And I hope that in the future we can provide the type of functionality out of the box, so it's a few clicks and you're done.
Yeah, absolutely. Great. So one item. Sorry, I'm finding the right question here, guys. Great. Here's one from Barry. Will the current Ecwid-based shopping cart be available, and will the new cart have the integration of tools like Printful, QuickBooks, and others?
Yeah, so Ecwid definitely is not going away. It's still going to be available. Of course, we are committed to it. We have many stores on Ecwid. So anyone that is using Ecwid, you can continue to use it, and no questions about that. Obviously, we want you to try new Duda e-commerce as we iterate it over time, but Ecwid is here. In terms of different apps, so part of I think the major strategy for our app store is actually to build those and integrate with the e-commerce apps, as Russ mentioned. So we're going to have a few when we launch, and we're going to add more and more over time. So you can expect our app store to have quite a lot of e-com apps over time.
Great. Amir, Itai, thank you so much for taking the time with some extra questions. Really great session to give customers kind of an overview of Duda's view on the future. On the next session, guys, please stick around. We're talking about web accessibility across the board. We have some experts coming in from the accessibility community, have a presentation to give us. So if you have questions about accessibility, it's going to be a great session coming up here. Again, Amir and Itai, thank you so much.
Yep.
Thanks,
you.
Russ. Thanks, Itai. Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Kim, Christine, hey, how are you?
Hey. Good. How are you?
Good to see you.
Fuzzy.
Welcome. Great, guys. So I'm really excited to have you guys in here today to talk about web accessibility across the board. I know for Duda customers, and something we hear a lot is there's a lot of kind of anxiety and questions in kind of the web accessibility space right now. There's a lot of uncertainty around requirements and needs. I think there's also a lot of learning that kind of needs to be done as well among the agencies and web professionals and web developers in the world related to building accessible presences across the board. So really excited to have you all here. Why don't we just start with just a quick round of introductions? Christine, if you want to start, it would just be great to hear about who you are and just a little bit of background.
Sure. I am Christine Schackinger. I live in Las Vegas. There are people that live here. I have more digital experience than I probably care to admit, but I started doing front-end design and front-end code and development in 1998 and added accessibility as a skill set around 2004, and I've dipped in and out of it during my career. I also do SEO, which is my primary function now, but from around 2013, I did 3 years as a lead at the USA.gov for accessibility, which is the GSA for the United States. So it's the government portal for the United States. And I've always included it in all my website audits, generally speaking. So that's where my background is. I also taught Chinese province officials WCAG standards in 2011 over in China for a UN effort on taking accessibility around the world with a treaty. So
great. Welcome. We're excited to have you here. Leah, do you want to jump in and give a little background?
Yeah, sure. I'm Leah Scudmore. I'm the SEO lead at AimClear, and I fell in love with accessibility by chance. I had a friend that was diagnosed with ALS, and while she was fighting the disease, I realized how much she was disconnected from her friends and family in the process, and that changed my SEO career. So as much as I've been doing SEO, I try to make sure that from beginning to end, when we're working on content or building websites, that we are focused on accessibility so friends and family aren't left out.
Great. And finally, Kim, why don't you give yourself an introduction?
My name is Kim Krausberg, and I am a certified accessibility specialist. My first website was built in 1995, and I guarantee you it wasn't accessible or user-friendly at all. We were animating back then. That was a lot of fun. Yep. Anyway, I was a consultant for over 25 years and have a lot of background in SEO and forums management. And anyway, present day, I now work for Bank Mobile Technologies, and I'm getting more into the mobile app side of accessibility and development and testing. But yeah, it's and as far as why, I have no idea. Accessibility has always been part of my work, and I didn't know it. And then I just became more interested in it and became certified.
And we lost him.
Yeah. I scared him away.
He's back.
I think I hit the stream limit of today. So Thank you, Kim, so much. So for our session today, Kim has prepared a presentation, kind of give us an overview of auditing and looking and how you can think about, finding accessibility topics. Please, guys, the way it'll work is Kim will have an overview. I think it's about 20 minutes or so, 25 minutes of a presentation. And then after, we'll have plenty of time for questions and discussion. So if you guys have questions, please feel free to pop them in the comments or the chat as they come through. We will have time towards after the presentation to answer those and dive deep on those topics with the broader group that we have here. So Kim, with that, do you want to jump in and share your slides and give us an overview?
Yeah, as soon as I figure out how to work it. Yeah. Yes. Can you see the screen?
Yes.
Okay. That's not the first slide, though. I already jumped ahead. Well, you already know who I am.
Yep.
And where we are and why we're here. So one of my guiding principles, and I didn't even figure this out until actually I started the work, is everything has beauty, but not everyone can see it. And you'll see why I say that. Anyway, the future is digital. And it's going more and more so. And I'm the daughter of an electronics engineer and a radio guy. And he would be amazed at how the technology is driving what we do. And it's just going faster and faster. So there's a lot of room for opportunities, both for our websites and for mobile app development for inclusion design. And one example is the fintech industry, which is growing by leaps and bounds, and the ability to make payments from, a mobile device. That's just one area. But why is that so cool? Because we take our devices with us wherever we go. And we do more and more things with our mobile apps as well as websites. So they all have to be usable by more and more people. And we're figuring out the gaps and where they're not. I'm pausing here just because I'm only seeing part of the picture, and you guys probably see more of it than I can. Anyway, design for inclusion, I know, don't laugh, is opens doors, and it's a constant. Like the more we learn, the more opportunities there are for developers and user interface designers to create new and better things to include more people. And we are finding that SEO fits in, information architecture, usability, human behavior, all of that is playing a part in inclusive design and just giving us more things to consider and to think about as we create and develop. Paying homage to our friend Bill Slosky, who a lot of people on here may remember. He passed away not too long ago. And Bill was first in SEO, but he was also very involved in the usability and also accessibility. We would spend a lot of time talking about accessibility. And one of the things that he became interested in was automation and AI and assistive tech. And this was just one of his blog posts from April about the automated assistance. And what we're finding is that things that are being developed for people with disabilities help a lot of us. But at the same time, I can't turn on any of the lights in my house. Only my husband can. They're voice activated by him. It's ridiculous. So we're still learning how the technology works and how to create. I'm going to skip. I probably should have given a forewarning. My presentation was longer, so I'm going to skip the ADA legal stuff because I know that my friends here are going to help with it. What to do if you get an ADA, letter and how creepy, scary all that is. And I also have resources and information to share separately outside of this. I wrote a blog post with resources because people are going to want to know. Web accessibility law and the ADA is changing, and the Department of Justice is rewriting the information to include the web, because in 1990 the word web wasn't part of the ADA. And that's been causing a lot of confusion for people. They will say, well, they can't sue me because it's not against the ADA. And that's just a technicality. We are building for accessibility because it's the right thing to do, plain and simple. You can, go around it and talk about it all you want. We're not doing it because it's the law, and for .govs and some education sites, yes, they do legally have to comply. But for the rest of us, it's just the right thing to do. Considering the risks is also, I was going to jump over this as well, other than to point out that Sherry Haber is a really good resource. She has the legal background. She's also an accessibility person, and she writes things in terms that are easy to understand. And that this is just one article that she wrote that was really good, but she writes many. Her and Lainey Feingold are my go-to people when I want to know what's happening in the legal world. Standards and guidelines. This is what we base our designs on and what the testing is based on. And you'll hear us say WCAG or WCAG 2.1, 2.2, whatever. This is what it's based on. The W3C is constantly rewriting and revisiting the standards that web design is based on. And let's see, 2.1 is out now. 2.2 is due hopefully by the end of the year, if not the beginning of next year, haggling over one little area. But it changes because we're using more mobile. So the standards and the recommendations are changing to assist us with mobile design for accessibility. That's all that is. Tap targets, how to work that teeny tiny screen. All of that is in the guidelines. And I want to point out that this information is free. It doesn't cost anything other than your time and to try to read it and figure it out. And there's a lot of resources on how to implement the code. This is another one I was going to jump over because it gets into the whole ADA legal part. Other than to point out that other countries do have more laws than the United States does. So depending on where you're doing business and who your target market is, you need to know what their accessibility guidelines and laws and regulations are. And in the United States, each state has their own. Because I used to work on Pennsylvania's, and they have their own, set of guidelines. So what is the point of web accessibility? Does it cost a lot? That's also a really popular question. And, it depends. The risk is that if you don't do it, it will probably cost you more money. So people do people things. I said that one time in the car to my husband, and he's like, wow, that's really a cool line. You should use that. Because people do people things, and we don't always know how they're doing those people things. Which is why the standards cover the 4 principles: perceivable, operable, understandable, and robust. Robust is going to grow because the assistive technology and devices are, the technology is just driving it. And all of the WCAG standards fall, and the guidelines fall underneath each one of those principles. There's no way you're going to memorize them, but I have test cases and test plans that, of how to implement all of them. It's a lot. This one I was going to skip over, other than to point out requirements gathering is really important. And even if you think you know what your requirements are as you're designing and developing, you're going to have to revisit it because things change. The technology changes, the code changes, or somebody who's using your website or your app runs into a problem, and then you're going to have to change it again. There's requirements that you don't even know that are required. So it's an ongoing process. This I wanted to jump over, except for the part about customer support. It's very important to have an accessibility statement in your footer, along with the privacy and T's and C's, that provide a way for somebody to get help. Because not everybody is going to be able to fill out your form or understand how to use your website, and it's not their fault. It's something that we're doing wrong, and they need to be able to have a way to get help. And so always, always, always provide some way to make contact and let them contact you. And the accessibility statement usually has how to contact us if you get stuck. So that's pretty important. This I'm going to jump over just because it takes up too much time. Okay, here we go. Here's my world. I listen to websites. I listen to code. And this tells me a lot about the user experience, especially with devices. Screen readers for Mac and Apple iPhones use what's called VoiceOver. And as you can see, the settings, there's a lot of settings, and there's a lot of ways that you can tell your device how to help you, which is why overlays we don't want you to use overlays, because 9 times out of 10, they're going to override all those settings that you're seeing there. They take over the site, and you want your person who needs their own personal settings to leave them intact. So this is iOS, and then the next one is Android, and that's in dark mode, because if you can see it, I took those screenshots at 5:30 in the morning and it was still dark. So, but anyway, TalkBack comes with Android, and it's also free, and that's their accessibility settings. For PC, we test with NVDA, which is a free plugin, or a lot of people use JAWS, which is not free. But it's gaining in popularity, despite the fact that people who need it have to pay for it. When you're doing accessibility testing, they recommend testing with JAWS, but of course you have to pay for it. The trial will run out. The reason why I listen is because I have a better understanding of what the experience is like for people using your websites and your apps. And if I'm not listening, I can at least try to use tools, and tools are great. There's a lot of free ones out there. There's also ones that fee-based. There's automated tools. These are just a couple of my favorites. Lighthouse you're familiar with. Axe and Axe Pro is another one. Wave is great. I love Wave. These tools work with your browser, and I have them as extension on Edge, Firefox, and Chrome, so that they're there whenever I want them. And I can right-click Axe, and it will come into my web dev. So if I right-click and I want the source code, Axe Pro is right there with me. And these tools can highlight where the issues are. They can tell you what standard isn't being met, what success criteria isn't being met. A lot of them are really helpful. They don't fix anything, but they will give that first look, and everybody uses them. They don't replace manual testing, but you can jump ahead and find a lot of problems like color contrast and things like that. This is my site right now, which is broken. And the reason why it's broken is because I'm combining 3 sites into one. And I actually thought I was going to put it in Duda, but that would have taken even longer. So in the process of putting 3 sites into one WordPress site, and it's saying that it was accessible, which it's not, I wanted to add my skip to content link on the upper left side, which is, you'll see that, and it's very helpful to be able to click that link and jump over the navigation. I can't do it on my site right now because there isn't any place for that skip link to go. The error that you're seeing here, first of all, there's no main landmark. There's no place for that skip content to go. There's also a duplicate complementary landmark, which means that the sidebar is being labeled complementary and it's labeled twice. So none of that's right. I have to fix it. But that's just an example of an issue that I saw, and I couldn't figure out what was causing the problem. So I right-clicked and did some investigative work. And this is just an example of what you can see. Tools are great. They don't tell you how to fix the problem all the time, but they give you a lot of help. These are some other tools. They're not always plugins, but my favorite one is Joe Dolson, who's an accessibility guy for WordPress. He's had his tool for free for years and years and years. And I use it in combination with Tana Guru. So if I get a flag and it says I have color contrast errors, which every website has color contrast errors, I don't care who you are. And if you want to know how to fix it, you get the hex number, and then you pull it into Tana Guru, and it will tell you the better matches. And it will tell you to what criteria and what level those matches work the best. It's a great tool, and it doesn't cost anything. It's free. I love free. Be My Eyes is a company that people, you can outsource them if you have an app and you have a customer who's having trouble. Be My Eyes will be their eyes. And I'm going to be interviewing a cousin of mine who's a volunteer for that. But it's basically humans helping people through that software. It's there's another company that does it too, but we're not ready to help everybody. But there's companies out there that are able to help. So sometimes you need help to help, and Be My Eyes is one of them. What else was on this list that I wanted to show? I think that was it, because I want to get to the fun part. Okay, common issues. First of all, that's my mother. Before her Alzheimer's took over, she was my cognitive user tester. If she couldn't understand something as she was starting, dementia was setting in, and also just old age, she would tell me about it. She was great. And I have other people, who are older, but the whole point is that it's not just for blind and visual and deaf. It's also for the cognitive, whether it's temporary or permanent. There's a lot of reasons why people cannot use our websites, not just visual. And understanding and reading difficulties and being on the spectrum, and all of that plays a part in the work that we do and why we want to code our digital properties better and better and better, just simply because more people can use them without getting confused. On this list, it's always color contrast is number one. Unannounced offsite links, you wouldn't think that that's a problem, but imagine if all you get is the audio. And the screen reader is saying, this is a link, double click to activate, and it takes you off the site. No warning, no nothing, you're gone, bye. That happens all the time. It's one of the things that I test for. Forms is another one. Form field labels are missing the label in the backend code. So anytime a form isn't labeled properly, the same thing with modals and iframes and carousels, they need to be coded so that somebody who doesn't have the visual can still use them. And we're always forgetting that, and there is ways to code for that, but these are just the issues that come up all the time. Carousels, there's no slider for a screen reader. It doesn't happen, but you see them all the time. Same thing with animation. So these are just things to consider. Modals, the content inside of a modal is not there unless it's coded properly. That's a lot of text. Sometimes is completely invisible, and lots of times there's a button along with it, and that's not there either. So these are just a list of some of the most common problems that come up all the time. Okay, so now we're going to see some stuff in action. You might recognize some of these, and Duda's going to kill me, but some of these are templates, and I didn't need a tool to be able to tell me that right away. The content over the image, which we see all the time, that's not text. The screen reader is not going to know that that's there. The search engine is not going to know if it's there either. It will need alt text, but secondary to the fact that the content or the text isn't there is most of the time that color contrast, like the text over the image, the contrast isn't working. It's really hard to do. And which is why I try to avoid doing it at all, because it's really hard to get that right. Small fonts is a big one. Do not go below 12 pixels, and try to use responsive fonts like EMs and REMs so that they expand and contract and do everything responsively. 14, 16 are the norm now. Which is kind of interesting. And if you go to some of the websites by accessibility people, their fonts are gigantic. One of the things that I didn't put on here is that one of the criteria is for websites is you must be able to allow people to zoom in 200% without losing the integrity of the page. And a lot of times that viewport metadata says, no, you can't You can't go, we're restricting it. That's a WCAG failure. They've got to be able to, change the size of the screen and the text. And that's also a fun one to test, especially when the images run off the side. Centered paragraphs, that's hard for people with reading disabilities to read. We say you can center the headings, but if you've got a chunk of content, left justified, left align it. Justification's bad, left alignment is good. Just because it's easier to read, it's easier to scan. We don't read every word anyway, so you want to be able to aid the readability of the page. And duplicate call to action. There's nothing worse than I call it the merry-go-round effect, especially if you're listening. But that's common. You'll see more than one call to action going to exactly the same place, several areas on the page. We have to get away from that. Next one. This was fun. This page is almost entirely images. And if I was to listen to this page, I wouldn't have the slightest idea who the friend is. Visually, you can tell it's a dog, but the logo is the only actual clue. There's no text on here that says your friend is a dog. And search engines aren't going to know either. And one of the tests that I do, I've been doing this for 100 years, is to remove all the images and see what's left and what's in the text. And the search engines get that information, but so do the screen readers. And people using screen readers sort through that. They don't read everything. They use what's called a rotor, and that will tell them, okay, this is where the content is. This is where all the links are. And it helps them move around. And they do it really quickly, but they need that text so that they understand. And then I had some other questions that you can read on there, but basically I couldn't tell, even as a visual user, what to do. There's not enough user instructions there. So if it's not there visually, it's not there for somebody who's just listening to the page. So it's just something to take into consideration. And careful writing your content. This one, do some research on ableisms, which is, I'm still kind of getting to know it because the people in the accessibility industry are all over it. For example, the word see. If you're using a screen reader, you don't get the images. You might see the text and it says see something. Well, they can't. So they might be offended by that. So what we try to do is come up with different ways to convey the information without being offensive, or it might sound politically correct, but it matters to people that we're developing and designing for. So I know where I work, we carefully evaluate what we're saying, where we say it and how we say it. And that's one example. Alt text, you have to have your alt text. Even Twitter's, letting you add alt text to your code, PowerPoint, everything. What was the last one? This one concerned me because even with the visual, I still didn't know where they were. And I wasn't 100% sure because there's not enough content there, text. Is it a local restaurant? Am I looking for a menu? Or can I order from them? These are things that are missing just for basic understanding. Not everything is for, the screen reader. A lot of this is just presenting information so that we understand what it is we're supposed to do. Trust me, I need a lot of help. I'm one of the older people. So this one, I'm not going to go through piece by piece. That 3-column section, though, we see that a lot. And you'll see the 3 columns, and then it will say learn more, read more, click here, whatever that anchor text says, that will come up in a tool as a failure, an error, because it's repetitive. Repetitive links that say exactly the same thing are bad. Not to mention the fact that for conversions reasons, they don't really inspire the click, which, conversions is another part of the thing that I'm specialize in. So you want to be as descriptive as possible, not just for conversions and visually, but for the person that is listening. They need to understand that text. So and so that they will go and follow that link. Because all the screen reader is going to say is activate, activate, activate. It's like a robot. Give them a reason to go. And then just some other things that I pick up. And again, I didn't use any tools. I don't know, this is just like my visual look, first pass. And a lot of people do this just in design, the design stage. It's like, okay, Kim, what are we missing? And this is what that experience is like. So I gave you a lot to think about. Create PC is my old handle from way back in the 90s, and I'm bringing it back. It means create peace. And in my mind, that's why we're here and why we do what we do. Online anyway. So thank you very much. We try to be helpful. Anyway, so thank you for listening, and over to my friends.
Great. Thank you, Kim. That was an excellent kind of intro and overview of kind of accessibility, and also some really practical tips. I love that you highlight some Duda things that we need to do better. I think this is absolutely I think realistically Duda needs to also really bake this into our templates more and bake it into the platform more. It is something we're really looking at. We have what I would call our improvements Duda's making to the platform of fixing some of the underlying code and HTML that we use, fixing and improving, kind of some of the most blatant issues that are there. A lot of it also is obviously on our customers, how they design and how they build the site and what's going into it. And so we have an ongoing kind of project to find those things that really can't be fixed inside of Duda and then fix those kind of natively inside of the platform. But it's really, really great to highlight. The ones you highlighted actually wouldn't be fixed by what we're doing, because most of it's design choices that you're just calling out. Yeah.
Right. And you don't know what you don't know. So,
Absolutely.
A lot of this is just, based on, I've tested hundreds, thousands of websites, and a lot of this stuff I just see over and over again.
It's a lot of times comes back to the themes. Whatever themes we downloaded. Like, I don't understand why platforms are allowing themes that out the gate aren't accessible. Like, I don't know how many times you guys have seen H2s above H1s. Like, how often do you, right? Like, I don't know how often we see that. And it literally every single time comes back to the theme being incorrect. And so holding people submitting themes to a higher standard would be a first step for every platform.
Yep.
I think that part of the issue is that a lot of times outside of people like us who deal with it, they perceive it as a small percentage of the United States or the world market, that it's not really that valuable to them. But 1 in 4 Americans claim a disability of some type that would be affected by this. That's 25% of the US population. And then if you look at the actual statistics on how much money is out there, and let's be frank, people aren't going to do it just because it's the right thing. If it's a business, like, do I really care about the template? Should I get somebody to accessibility audit me, things like that? Because I think it's not a big thing for them. It's not that helpful for them. But market wise, when I did a study in Vegas years ago, but I did it for a big casino for the market for them, it was a $13 billion untapped industry per year in travel, with Vegas being the top 4 destinations for people with accessibility issues. So when I worked at Zappos, they even had a whole line of clothing meant for people with disabilities because they realized the market value. So 1, you definitely want to do it because it's the right thing to do. But when we're talking about business, it's also a massive amount of people in the world need their sites to be accessible.
And I've got the whole US numbers if you want to know what the dollars are for the entire US.
That's why I didn't put it in my presentation.
So I did a study and found that $490 billion is with people with disabilities. So that's,
and it's just sitting on the table.
It's just sitting on the table, and only 10% of websites globally are accessible. 90% of websites in the US are not accessible. So it's just money like hanging out there. If you're looking at people with independent living difficulty, like my dad's, it's $140 billion, and that grows 14% each year.
Yeah.
So
that's huge. I didn't know it's that big. So that's a good number to know. Yeah.
Yeah. When we did the math, it's like literally, let's see, how did it go? Hold on. I got them on the side over here. It is literally the size of China. The money is literally the size of China. So let me find,
like probably full GDP of the Chinese economy. Yep.
Yes, and when you add the number of people are like, well, that's just they aren't my customers. That's the biggest thing we hear is like, oh, they're not my customers. But if you add the people with disabilities up to the people that are making decisions for people with disabilities, it's 37.5% of the world population are making decisions based on an ability. That's a huge number.
That's huge.
Huge number.
Yeah. The other thing that was really, and I don't know the tool, Kim will probably remember the tool. I don't remember what it was, but we would have to test everything when I was at the government with every device type. And one of them simulated the changes in your eye based on your age. So as people just get older, the ability to discern contrast, colors, things like that dim. And so if you're a market with anybody, over the age of 50 or 60, you could be putting things into your website like not using underlines on links or not using proper color schemes or not using indicators. That would make it very difficult for just somebody who doesn't use any assistive devices and doesn't call themselves disabled in any way to operate your site properly, especially when it's in mobile. I see a site last week that gave me all their links were black text. And I'm like, well, how's anyone supposed to know that's a link? Well, when you roll over it, well, that won't help anybody.
Line by line.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
That's actually a broken success criteria too. We're not, color is not supposed to be an indicator. That's a fail.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Yeah, links are supposed to, if it's a text link on your site, it is like mandatory you have an underline. It just can't be bold. It has to literally have an underline.
With CSS, not
not
the U.
Yes, thank you.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. There's the other thing is we run into a lot is, oh, I just want a clean, bright site, just clean, not a lot of lines. But the problem is by not having lines to differentiate, say, buttons for people with cognitive difficulties, like my dad, he doesn't know what to click on. He just sees a list of words. He doesn't understand that it has a function. So white websites with light gray font, first off, gray font, if it's not dark enough gray, isn't accessible to begin with. But then you don't have elements to delineate function, then you take that away from them too.
And let's just talk about like a font in general. So Twitter had changed this font to something called Chirp. And if you look up who designed it, they weren't a font designer. So that's part of the problem. But it caused me a lot of visual issues. And then when I went on Twitter, I have, by the way, a retinal issue. So I see 20/20, but I don't have all the rods and cones everybody has. So for me, digital text can sometimes be jumpy or just cause me difficulties in comprehension because of the way it's written. So I go on the Twitter site and there's tons of people with visual issues complaining to Twitter that this is giving them headaches. It's giving them visual issues. Now, if a regular person looked at it, they're like, I don't see what your problem is. It looks fine to me. And then somebody who does design fonts figured out the way they did the I can't say the word, anti-aliasing, is that the correct way? Around the font was wrong. And so for people with visual issues, that caused a problem. So you want to be careful too, even just you pick your font choices, like stick with system fonts if you can. Also, you don't have to download all that weight for the web fonts. But if you're using a web font, make sure it's an accessible web font because not all web fonts are accessible for people.
That's great. I want to jump in and get a question in from the group here. I think this is one that'll resonate well with Duda customers. From Jared, he asked it a little earlier on. Ultimately, who does the responsibility of accessibility fall on? Is it the business owner, the agency, or the content management system, or all of the above?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's a team effort. Yeah, definitely a team effort.
Yeah.
Legally, when I've worked for companies that have received Department of Justice notices, it has been the company that's responsible for getting it fixed. But as far as internally, yes, it's a team effort.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
I've heard of some Duda customers that include this in their agreement, that it's not on them to kind of make sure it's fully accessible, that, the client needs to take this on. I think, good, an agency who's going to be proactive about this is going to be out there and talking about this and building sites that, are following a lot of these success criteria for WCAG. But, there's a wide range of world out there that people use. Yeah.
Yeah. The old disclaimer. I've actually written several of them for small business clients, but they're petrified. So there's the disclaimer, but the accessibility statement too. As long as you have your door open, that alleviates a lot of problems. You don't know you have a problem until somebody tells you you have a problem.
Right.
If you don't leave your door open, then they're going to complain. They're going to take it up many notches.
Yeah.
But who's responsible? It's an ongoing thing. And I'm finding that most people who find themselves unable to complete a task for any reason, they want to help. They're not out to get you.
Yeah.
I mean, yes, there are serial filers. That's a whole nother topic. But genuinely, most people, they just want to be able to help because they're representing themselves and people like that.
Yeah. Most of the time when I've been at a company that received those notices, it's because the company didn't react to the complaints.
Right.
So
you have to respond. Always respond. That's like the first thing to do. Don't leave it hanging.
And the first response from the C-suite is to, we got to get our lawyer to write this. And that is not something you can do. It has to be 4th grade English or really easy, simple to read. It cannot be lawyerific. It has to be simple speech. And then InClear site actually has a really good example of what we've done. Like we actually say, like, this is what we're working on. And we've updated it here and there as we've fixed things that we didn't know was wrong with our site until I really started digging in. But yeah, it's and there are things on my site that are still broke because I have them broke for examples. Because I'm like, see, this is an example of like Kim was talking about earlier with like how you strip out all the images and see if everything's in the right order. That's one of the things I love to do too. And what I use it to show like there's this bar that's not supposed to be there, but it's smack dab in the middle of all the text. So yeah.
There's a great tool for that, by the way. It's web developer tool that goes in Chrome and Firefox, and you can do linearize the page, and it'll show you exactly how the page flows in all device types. So, media breakpoints. So, but yeah.
Great.
So.
Cool. I'm going to jump into the next few questions here. Rich Keller was asking, a lot of the designs that Kim was highlighting earlier in her presentation overlap with kind of the text and images and background. Do you have any stats or conversion rates after a site was optimized for accessibility? I feel it can help conversion rate in general.
Yeah.
She would have the stats. Yeah, I'm like, I can't show anybody anything because I'm legally bound not to.
I can give you. I can give stats. I can't show you anything, but I can give you stats. We have a client that we worked with starting last August, and between August and February, working on their site. What the goal was accessibility, because like the main issue on the homepage was it's an e-com site, and you have the product name, you have the picture, and then underneath it you have the dollar amount or to buy now. And every single one of those things was the same, like was a duplicate link, right, of the exact same link. And so that is not accessible because people listening to the page, they're hearing the product name 4 times in a row before they get to the next product. So that was literally the goal, to fix their e-com so that it didn't do that anymore. And then add alt text, add meta descriptions, and the things that make a website that like literally are foundational SEO. We had an increase in revenue of 20%. Our close rate increased 85% from 62%. And the total revenue increase was 2.3 million in 6 months.
Nice.
So it is, as much as accessibility feels like a really scary thing at its heart and at the beginning of it, it is good SEO and good dev and good UX. So if you marry those 3 together, that's true integration, right? And that's also helps cause revenue to go up because you're serving more people, and it also made it easier for everybody else too.
And to add to that real briefly, when it comes to your visibility and search, doing the things that are required of WCAG A or AA will make your site better just for crawling, indexing. So it's not sometimes people think it's a ranking signal. It's not, but the things that you do to become compliant just make your site better for Google. and for users, so it makes it easier. Although just one thing, stop keyword stuffing alt text, please.
Oh yeah. I can't believe anybody would still do that. But yeah.
Oh my gosh,
Oh
so
my
many
God,
people and
it's so
so many
rampant.
audits do that. And I want to tell people, just if you are in SEO, Google is very sensitive to keyword stuffing alt text, and it is in their algorithms. If you're doing it all over the site, you can actually get devaluation for it. I've recovered sites purely on that problem. So don't keyword stuff alt text. It's terrible for people with disabilities. So.
I just want to add something real quick as well. Accessibility is finding its way everywhere. I just wrote a chapter for a book on conversions, and when I was invited, I said, I'll do it if I can include the accessibility piece. And they're like, yeah. So Wiley is going to be coming out with a book, can't wait, that on conversions, and there will be the accessibility piece and how that fits in with conversions optimization, which is, it's for marketers. The other one is information architecture is huge, and accessibility is now officially, we're working on with the World or W3C. I was invited to help with that, and because accessibility is part of IA, so it's going to be worked into the standard eventually. So you're not going to be able to ignore it for very long because it's winding its way in everything that we do.
Yeah. I feel like this is an important point of a lot of what WCAG recommends and talks about is really just writing clearly, writing for a broad audience, writing in a way or designing in a way that can be leveraged and understood by many people. You don't necessarily have to have a disability to be to benefit from what's going into this. Right. One thing that we talked about in our pre-session was the relation just to Core Web Vitals, right? Core Web Vitals looks at the experience of a website and tries to grade that. And a lot of what WCAG looks at is just grading the experience of a site.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I was like, maybe there's a question.
Yeah, I was waiting for a question.
No, comments, add something. Yeah.
Well, it's true, and like I was saying just previously, that what you do for a CAG, A and AA standards really does make your site just better. Like CLS, like cumulative layout shift, if you're handling your images properly, your fonts properly, the way they load into the page, those are all covered in those standards. So if you're following those standards, you're not going to have those problems. JavaScript, using JavaScript to make portions of your page, load in portions of your page. Well, Google can't see that most of the time, so neither can someone with a disability. That's covered in the WCAG standard. So if you're following these standards, they're actually, if you were to roll them into your development group, like if you were to say, hey, development, we're going to have an accessibility lead here, and we're going to make sure that you develop to these standards. When your site rolled out, and I've done a lot of development work, when your site rolled out, it would be so good that you wouldn't run into like SEO issues, conversion issues, usability issues. It doesn't mean it'd be perfect, but by following those standards, you'd be coming out with just a top line product and not like a WordPress theme out of the box that has now CRO issues, usability issues, accessibility issues, SEO issues, right? So you solve a lot of that by using the standards and following the standards and rolling them into your dev plan.
And I also want to point out that for mobile development, like native apps, WCAG was originally created for the web. So I've been having a lot of fun applying that to native application development, which is a completely different code, but those native apps have to be accessible too. So that's a challenge for developers to consider.
Absolutely. Yeah. Great. I'm going to take another question. Oh, go ahead, Christine.
Oh, no, just real quick. Larger companies could benefit, much like in the early days of SEO, where SEO is just like tacked on at the end and someone does it at the whatever level.
Yeah.
Larger companies could really benefit by having an accessibility lead, even if they don't have a whole team that makes sure that the site is going out according to those standards. Because if they worked with the SEO group, the CRO group, the usability group, which large companies all have, it would allow them to put out an excellent product that, as Leah said, was what, $487 billion worth in the world or something?
Yeah, and it's 2 billion people. They used to say 1 billion people in the world have a disability, but or people, they're 2 billion now. They updated the numbers. It's 2 billion just because of people aging, and there's been war, and there's been lots and lots of changes after COVID. You know, things like that have changed a lot of people.
Mhm.
So it is now 2 billion people worldwide have a disability. So, and that is the size of China.
Wow.
That's where it was. I found it.
Yay!
I had to find it.
It's just such a, I guess my points are just it's a very practical thing for a company to roll in to
Yeah.
their plan like they do SEO now, and not like they did SEO years ago, which they still do now, is tack on accessibility at the end. And retrofitting code is always way more expensive and painful than building it right from the first part, the first get.
And if you are a big brand, and you can piggyback on what Christine said, I would bring people with disabilities to the planning table.
Oh yeah.
At
Yeah,
the
definitely.
beginning, before you write that first line of code, the plan should have people with various abilities at the table to help you plan for their future, to like ensure, because there is no retrofitting websites, as the three of us have actually learned.
Right.
It gets scrapped and thrown away, and that's expensive.
Right. You have to build a new site in tandem and launch it is usually what happens. Yeah.
And that's what happened with that client from August. It was literally, we ended up dumping the whole thing and starting over. So,
Yep.
Yeah.
And it was a brand new build that had just been completed.
Yeah, you really have to do user testing with real people.
Yeah.
And broaden your scope as far as who those people are, which is why I loved using my mom. You know, it's like, where else was I going to find somebody who you know, with dementia? There she was, and she was huge, big help.
Yep.
I used to have the mom test too for anything. I was a designer for years, UI UX. So I always had the mom test. My mom didn't have dementia, but she ran a store on eBay, Amazon, and something else. And she still, when I said, go to the address bar, she's like, what? So
Yeah.
she didn't know the names for anything. She just knew how to use what she knew how to use. So if I put a design in front of her and she didn't know how to use it, I knew I had to revamp it. So.
Which made me think of what happens when the design changes, something that you use all the time, and suddenly they change the design and the layout. That is really confusing for a lot of people. We learn one way, and you throw that up. Facebook does that to us all the time. But that's also something to consider. You know, do it slowly, not one big massive shock.
Yeah, I'm known for being the one who complains when they change things on Twitter. But because I designed UIX and front ends for years, and back when we started doing websites in the early aughts, you know, you didn't change all the functionality at once. You didn't get rid of functionality. You might add functionality and slowly phase it out. But now websites often just go, oh, we just shifted the whole thing.
Yeah.
Facebook, go fast break things. And you're right, for even just a regular user, that's a difficult change,
Right.
let alone
Yeah.
someone with a disability. Yeah.
Right.
Great.
I
I'm gonna
suggest,
jump in-
I always do that too. I'm sorry, Russ. I was going to say, I suggest everybody just one time check out their website with just a screen reader and see how difficult your website could be. And I had to do things like speak to navigate, use blowers to navigate, and that just gets incredibly more complicated. But if you just do the screen reader and listen to your site, you might be really shocked and offended at yourself. That,
Okay, and another example is somebody in a wheelchair using they have a cradle, and lots of times they don't use portrait mode. They need landscape.
Yes.
And oh my God, how many websites and digital apps don't flip?
Yeah. Instantly inaccessible. If you don't go horizontal, instantly inaccessible.
Yeah.
And there's hold on, I got more stats for you because I did a study on that too. For Facebook alone, there are 873 keywords that have the word Facebook plus horizontal. And it's literally people asking for their app to be able to turn horizontal so that they can read it or get larger fonts and be able to see it better for them. If you add in like Snapchat, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, it's 1,500 words every 30 days that are typed in, with a total number of search volume of 148,930 searches a month. So 150,000 people essentially every 30 days are trying to figure out how to get their favorite apps to go horizontal, because either they have a temporary disability where they're like not able to hold their phone because they broke their arms and they have it on a pedestal or on an arm, in front of them, or they've aged and they've had to switch to a tablet, and because their eyesight's going like mine, and they need the bigger font, but they can't get it to rotate horizontally, and all of those things hold them horizontally.
Mm-hmm.
So
does your car. Lots of cars.
Yeah, exactly.
No.
Yep. So that
drives me crazy in Facebook when you can't make the image go like that.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. Sorry. Go ahead, Russ. Ask us questions.
No, my fault.
Yeah, I'm going to get to the audience here. They have a bunch of questions. Kyle was asking, when a business is served by a law firm, even after having an accessibility statement and trying to accommodate on their website to a reasonable degree, what options does the business have? Do you guys have any recommendations? And I know you guys are not lawyers, so you can't give official advice here. Yeah.
The accessibility statement is not legally binding in any way, shape, or form. I think some people think so. They need to respond. They need to find out where the problems are, and okay, did that person actually test? Because there's serial filers out there who run it through a tool, or they didn't actually use it. So I'm starting to tell people who contact me, hey, did they really test it?
Right.
And what was their experience like? But it's important to respond right away. And if it's a real legitimate complaint, you can either negotiate with them, or it's time to get a lawyer and mediate. Most people are able to settle without ever going to court.
Right.
And there's a lot of ways to do it. Communication is a beautiful thing.
It is. And also in like Department of Justice letters, now I don't know recently, under the last 2 administrations, but the ones I worked with that did, they really just wanted them to try to fix it. And usually it's just like one item on the site that they identified. And so I remember doing that for one company I was working for. We fixed the item, sent it back to DOJ, and they're like, great, fine, you're good. And there's no fine or anything involved. They're not coming after you unless, one, you're usually a pretty big company, and two, unless you refuse to fix it and don't communicate and don't, acknowledge there's an issue and you're trying to make it better.
Yeah.
It's more expensive to fight it, like Domino's did. Oh my God.
Yeah,
it's just ridiculous with it. I mean, they took it all. Yeah, well, Target, but Domino's took it to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court was like, "What? No, we're not. We're not
they
even
went out
gonna."
to lunch. They didn't even hear the case.
Yeah, it's like, come on. But there's certain industries, like the travel industry is one. I think banking too. There's some that are starting to see an uptick in the amount of legal. Letters that they're receiving.
Yeah.
So
there's a few of these questions in the group here. Do you guys have examples of sites that are accessible or meet most of the standards that are there that either you guys have worked on or you just know from the industry that people can look at?
Go ahead.
I was just going to say Lainey Feingold, the accessibility lawyer. She,
yeah. And then the UK's Unilever site. So Unilever is their number one brand in the UK. The UK version of their website, that team is always working on it, and they're a good one to look at.
BBC, they're on
BBC
it
is good too.
Yeah.
And the federal government.
What not to look at or what not to do, look at Coca-Cola or ABC News. Those are like the best ones that are like the worst case scenarios.
Well, and by law, the federal government or your local government have to be accessible. Right. It doesn't mean that they are, but those are good places to look for examples. Yeah. Right. And then there's a site called, I'm going to use it just because it's easy to remember, and there's WebAIM.
Yeah.
That's a good one. WebAIM Yeah, and they'll give you all the examples of everything and how to use it and help you address questions you might have, like how do you write alt text? Because this is actually not very simple. It's a very complicated thing that even accessibility people debate today. But WebAIM is a really good resource for checking out how accessibility works.
Yeah, thank you for bringing them up. It's a good resource.
You're welcome.
Yep. So we have a few minutes left. I'd love to just use this for each one of you to just give, either guidance or recommendation or a takeaway of someone who is building websites for their clients of something they can, kind of know and kind of take away from the session. Leah, let's start with you if you have something.
So first thing, if I was brand new, it was my first time getting started with this on my website, go write your accessibility statement. It should be everywhere the terms and conditions are, or everywhere, like wherever you see that, that's where you need to be able to see the accessibility statement. It should be called accessibility statement because that's what people are going to look for. And then you want to make sure that it is like in the footer and things like that too, and make sure it's in the sitemap. You need to make sure it's everywhere so that it's super easy for people to find. I hope that answered the question. I saw go by about that.
Yeah. Christine, you want to go next?
Sure. I would say for learning purposes, WebAIM, go there. It'll teach you a lot about how to do accessibility, answer questions for you. And I think it's webaim.org. Not 100%, pretty positive. So just webaim.org. And then the other thing I would say, if you're a small business and you're like, well, I need an audit, I don't know how to do that. I want to check my stuff. One, try to find somebody who does accessibility. But if you want to take a look yourself, and there's no skin in my game for this. It's just a tool that I use for small businesses. There's one called Pope Tech, and you can pay a very small amount, and they have one of the most expensive tools you'll have access to, which is called Wave. And so, they will do an audit for you. You can click page by page, and it'll show you. Now, this is not a full audit. You need hands-on. You need somebody who knows accessibility, but it can give you an idea of how many errors you have. It gives you a page by page list. When you bring it up in the browser, it identifies every issue by the accessibility standard. So, and you can do 100 pages for $100 or $200. And the Wave tool is like, if you go to big audit sites, these are thousands and thousands of dollars a month. So the Pope Tech, it's just two brothers who run this accessibility testing tool, but it does allow you to get an idea of the state of your site. Also be aware, when you do find an accessibility issue, it can say like 10,000 times this is an issue. It also could just mean that it's one piece of CSS across your entire site. So don't freak out if you use the tool and you find all those issues. But it is good, just like an SEO audit. You should probably get an accessibility audit once a year if you're a small business. Probably more than that if you don't have an accessibility team member and you're a large business, because you're changing your site all the time. If you never change your site, just do it once every 2-3 years. But there are a lot of lawyers out there treating this like ambulance chasing. And so if you are in industries like travel and banking, things that are supposed to be accessible to all people, they're kind of in this weird gray area. You want to make sure that you're getting that checked. So
great. Yeah. And Kim.
Okay, even though my site's broken, I made a blog post and it has a whole bunch of resources, people, companies, whatever. People are welcome to go there as long as they don't say anything about the fact that my site's broken right now. And say, oh my gosh, what is her problem? You try moving 3 websites into one and see. But anyway, to the left of the logo on the Creative Vision Web Consulting is a side menu that drops down. The very first blog post, and I did it today. I did it in a hurry, but the links are there. Great. So it's the resources, some of them because there's no way anybody's going to write all that stuff down. So I threw that up there.
That's great. Thank you.
And I think I had one if I could, and manually test your website with a keyboard. Use that tab key. That's going to give you a lot of information. If it doesn't go where you want it to go, then it's a problem.
Yeah.
It's a good tip. Absolutely. Great. Kim, Leah, Christine, thank you so much for joining us today and giving some great insights and great information here about accessibility. Really appreciate you all coming on and sharing your knowledge. For those still on, we have one more day of DudaCon. Tomorrow is our last day. We have 2 more sessions that we'll cover, web design and also an agency panel as well. So we will love to have you and thank you again for joining, and everyone have a good afternoon, good evening, good morning, wherever you might be.